everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. Happy Friday. Hopefully you guys are doing well and kicking off the weekend. Stoked to be doing, we're going to be doing full moon astrology readings on the channel tonight live. And it's going to be extra fun because we have an impending full moon that's coming in Leo. The moon is in Cancer right now, coming in opposition with Pluto. There's some intense stuff that is brewing for the next 2 or 3 days. Do me a favor, if you are watching this live and you're on the stream, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you smash the like and the subscription button. Share this stream out if you want with other people who want readings. And I'll give everybody just a couple of minutes to show up in the chat. How are we feeling tonight? I've noticed like over the last few hours, just the energy is building, it's building. And obviously I'm going for comfort this evening, all right? So excuse all the wild and wacky colors. I'm gonna blame it on the Sun-Uranus squares. How are you guys doing? Everybody in the chat, what's up, Stephanie? Hey, Rome, 11th House Mystic. What's up, Jenna? How are you doing, girlfriend? Stacey, hello. We've got a number of people in the queue. There was a lot more people than usual that signed up for readings. And if you are a level 3 person and you want to get your reading, let me know. Sarah, I did not see your question. I only saw Stephanie's. So if you want to get your level 3, let me know. What's up, Elizabeth? Liking the wacky colors. Hey, Andy. So we're gonna be doing live readings. It's gonna be astrology this week. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm a Western astrologer. We do readings here every Friday. We alternate between tarot and astrology. There's a QR code right here. So please, if you are new to this or if you want to get into the queue, you just gotta follow these directions. Take your phone out, scan the QR code. It's gonna take you to my PayPal. You can ask any one specific question you want, either about an aspect in your natal chart or about transits that are going on, or if you don't specify, I'm going to talk about what's going on with the full moon. It'll take you to my PayPal. It's $40 donation. Unless you feel like being more generous and you want to donate, you're welcome to do that. $40 minimum donation for a chart reading. I need to know this information, so please make sure you include this with your question. I need to know your date of birth, including the month and the year, the exact time, AM or PM, and also the location, state, city, please, and country of where you were born. I'm in America, so you may not be. So if you can spell out your month for me so we make sure that we get the correct information, that would be awesome. I see that there's a number of people who are in the chat who are level 3. What's up, Steve? I finally caught you. Let me know if you want a reading. Sarah, I did not see your question, so let me know. But so far I have Stephanie, who is one of the level 3 people. Those of you guys who are not aware, let me just get all my shameless plugs out of the way now. You can support my channel at the very least by liking and subscribing. If you just want to hang out and you want to watch readings, you can totally do that. But if you want to donate to get a reading, if you want to join one of my 3 membership levels, if you like my content, if you want more of it, it makes it possible for me to keep creating content for you guys and make it free and easily accessible. Definitely striving to put out as much high quality content as physically possible. You guys are getting like hour-long videos. Sometimes there's free webinars too. I have lots of new stuff that I'm trying to bring to the channel, and it's possible because you guys support me, so big thank you for that. But you can check out my memberships if you want to do that. Level 3 is cool because if you get on the level 3, you're gonna get a reading once a month during one of these lives every single month. You can choose if you want tarot or astrology. It's really great because it's super affordable, and also you don't have to wait. I have like a 4-month wait to get a reading with me one-on-one on Zoom. So do consider that. I got a number of people who are already in the chat, so I will do a roll call in a second. I apologize. I will not be leaving the queue up for very long because we have so many people. So if you know that you want to get a reading, I really recommend getting in the queue now because there's already over a dozen people, and it might be a little while. Maybe you guys have seen these before. So I'll do a roll call for everybody that I have that's not level 3. But before that, I want to say a big thank you to my level 2 and 3 subscribers. You guys are the best. People like Barbara Smith, Christine, Janine, Deanna, Penny, Flowing with the Pines, Coco, Steve, Stacy, Paula, Sarah M, Maui, Catherine Murray, Claudia, Tiara, Stephanie, Angela, Willow, Emma, Susan, Miss Fogel, Jackie, Harazed, Nancy, Jessica Martinez, and Susan Wexler. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. I appreciate it. I have to give you guys your monthly shout outs. And I'll let you know who we have. So we'll be taking, obviously, Stephanie and Sarah. Steve, if you want to get in there, you can. Also, I will try to make a mental note to talk to Catherine Murray. Catherine, if you're watching this, I know sometimes you're tuning in from Greece and you miss me, so I'll try to get your reading in here as well. But other than that, this is who I have in the queue. There is a lot of you guys. I've got Brianna, Jasmine, and Sherry, Vanessa, Rome, Amy. We've got Casa Rustica, Paula. We've got Miss V, Janae. That's who I've got so far. We've got a couple more, but I don't want to let you guys know. And if you want to get a reading and you want to get in the queue, scan the QR code right here. It's going to take you to my PayPal. You can get your PayPal information in there. $40 minimum donation. Please look below. See down there where you see all the little Saturns. There's a direct link there. You can click that, but I need that information from you, your birth information, because guess what? We're going to be pulling up your chart live in the chat. Steve, can you please confirm? Actually, can you send me your birth information, Steve? So I can plug your information in. And hey, what's up, Mystic Road? She's snuck in there. Join level 3. In the memo, so when you go to the PayPal, there's going to be a note section or it'll say memo. Put that information in there. Please, please, please. Mystic Road, thanks for joining level 3 and supporting the channel. We can get you in there too. So it looks like we're going to see, just make a note so I remember who we have. We're going to have Stephanie, Sarah, Steve, and Mystic Road. If you want to cash it on that tonight, you can. Let me know. Please just send your birth information and let me know what name you want me to save your file under. All right, cool. So you guys, I'm going to leave this open for maybe 10, 15 minutes. So Elizabeth Martinez snuck in there. What's up, Elizabeth? All right, cool. And if you guys do not specify what you want me to look at, I will talk purely just about the full moon in Leo that's coming in on Sunday. Okay. And Chris says, that's a cool sweatshirt. You should see the matching one that I got from my dog. We are definitely, yeah, we're loud. Okay. Mystic Road, cool, I've got you. Let me just plug you in now so I don't lose that. And then we'll get going. Steve, thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys. You guys are swift. I need to know the city. I need to know the time, Mystic Road, and the AM or the PM, please. Steve, finally caught you, Steve. How are things doing? May 17th, 49. Longview, Washington, 5:44 p.m. Okay, so we've got Steve saved. Let me go back to Mystic Road. Let's see, 2:40 p.m. Thank you for that. Let's see. Minneapolis. Okay, so let me catch up here. So I got Mystic and Steve here. Janae, you sent your info. Can we save Janae's info so I can come back to this? How can you get your chart read? You have to make a donation, scan the QR code below. If you guys are just straight up sending me birth information, I appreciate it. But there's going to be a ton of people who are going to come in the chat, and I'm only doing readings for those who are making donations. So if you guys send a PayPal and you make a donation, let me know. We also take Super Chat. What's up, Deanna? Hopefully things are better, Steve. Thank you. 48 people in here. Well, if you just sent a PayPal, hang out for a minute because there's probably about 12 to 14 people ahead of you. Just a heads up. Juliana, you sent information, but you did not put your information in there. So can we also save Juliana's info, please? Just so I can come back to it. That would be helpful. Madison says, this is off topic, but do you have your chart posted anywhere? I'm curious. It's on my website. If you go to my website, on my bio, on my first page, you'll see my chart. Thank you. Please hit the like button. It's going to help the algorithm. More people are going to see that we're going live. Appreciate it. Libra rising, Sun in Scorpio, Aries moon. I have 2 stelliums, 4 planets in Scorpio, 4 planets in Capricorn. That's it, except for my moon in Aries. Jupiter in Cancer, exalted in the 10th house. My chart is not for the faint of heart. I guess that's the easiest way to put it. Yes, 2 stelliums. Google unsubscribed me from you in the midheaven last night, but I resubscribed. Thank you. I've been hearing this a little bit from people, so if that's what's going on, make sure you're subscribed. Sounds like the Google algorithm doesn't really like it when you talk about hot censored topics. And Chris says, what are your thoughts on human design? I think it's interesting because it's very complementary and it's founded in astrology. I don't know. I try to learn it. It just seems complex. I just know I'm a projector, and as long as I show up and offer my guidance, then I'm employed. That's basically how it works for me. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. We'll start off with taking a look at Stephanie and then Sarah. I saw a little piece of what Stephanie said. Tell me something good. It's been so mental stress lately. Fell out with the only friends. Work has been nuts. I've had a lot of anxiety and panic attacks. Feels like it's getting better. I know there's a big left of my Saturn return, maybe the best part yet. You had a weight fall on your foot. Ouch. All right, let's see what's going on so you understand what's happening in your transits. It's a bummer. Okay, Stephanie, so, let's pull up the transit, shall we? Duh. There we go. All right, so what do we have going on here currently? Well, Mars is the ruler of your 6th house, Placidus, and that's accidents. It's also, I think that this can also be like agitation, right? If you notice that through the Mars retrograde in Gemini, it's been going back and forth over your South Node in the 8th house, which can bring mental stress, worry, concerns, right? So Mars is now direct and it's heading for the last conjunction to your South Node. And it's aggravating all that Capricorn. So yeah, it does feel like a lot of mental stress. Falling out with friends. You're going to hear for Libra risings, the full moon in Leo is in the whole sign 6th. So there is some sense of like completions with friendships. Okay. It's also for anybody who's like 89 to like 92, 93, this full moon in Leo is square your Pluto. Okay, and it's also square Uranus. So you throw Saturn into the mix and it's like lighting these charts up like a Christmas tree. So there is lots of change, transformation, Pluto, full moon, drama in Leo, and it's also square Saturn in Aquarius, which is about friends. So that's not unusual, right? Especially considering the fact that the full moon is taking place relatively close to your natal Chiron. And you have Chiron in opposition to Saturn. So it's like, as you're going through Saturn return stuff, you're moving through things which feel really heavy, especially involving like a parent or your home, your feelings. And it's really kind of nailing you in a sense of being like, I'm really overwhelmed with what I've got going on in my private life. And I'm really overwhelmed with like work and responsibilities. And so boom, the full moon comes in and it squares Pluto. So it can feel crisis oriented. Okay, but this is also the finale. Watching Saturn come out of the square with your Pluto, watching Saturn come out of the opposition with your Chiron. I feel like if you just purely look at Saturn and Chiron and the square to your Venus and your Pluto, it's like through some challenges in regards to transformation and relationships with others. Like you're really feeling the crunch of like, wow, I wish I had support. Okay, so pretty soon Jupiter's going to move through your 7th house. You have an eclipse coming on your descendant. I know I've been telling you this for months, but that's going to be really big. And I feel like the right now is what I think really what you're feeling is a combination of the full moon, but you're coming into your Saturn's return, right? And so like you're only going to have your Saturn return one time, technically by degree. Saturn's only going to hit 29 one single time. So the sun's crossing that mid-February, and then we've got the moon and Saturn coming into conjunction with your natal Saturn, February 19th. And then Saturn will sit at 29 degrees, really lighting up your Saturn return. This is going to be from the 27th of February until Saturn goes into Pisces, which is going to be on March 7th. Now, when Saturn fully leaves your 4th house, right, fully, which will not be until really the beginning of 2024, that's really when I think you're going to feel the effects of this over. Like I think it's going to like wind down. But you have Saturn at 29 degrees, ruled by Uranus, right, Aquarius, and you've got Uranus conjunct Neptune. I think part of the lesson of the Saturn return is learning not to be such a Capricorn moon and feel like you always have to have it all together and that you don't necessarily have to continue going forward, like not communicating and telling people where you need support, right? And co-parenting has been hard, I can imagine. Saturn is also, even though it's going into Pisces, so for Libra rising, it's like health and schedule and work and being of service. But for you, because you're like a degree off from being a Scorpio rising, Saturn's getting ready to go into the 5th house. So I look at this as like where it makes sense to really focus and hone in on your happiness, your side hustle, so you can make more money, so you feel like you can afford childcare. Saturn in the 6th whole sign, in regards to like creating more time to do the things that you want to do, right? So you've had a Mercury retrograde through all your Capricorn. You're also getting hit because you have had Chiron that's been in a square between your Cap planets and the sun. I mean, the truth is that things are going to ease up much more pretty much from March on. Okay, Saturn in the 5th is you're going to get real about what you love. Jupiter in the 7th is you're going to be looking for long-term commitment in regards to relationships, and you want to be able to communicate with somebody and feel like they have your back and vice versa. So yeah, I mean, whenever I see people going through their Saturn return, I have 3 planets conjunct Saturn, okay? That's not even, that's just the 3. It makes a ton of aspects in my chart. I also am a Libra rising with Saturn in the 4th. And I remember when I was going through my Saturn return, I was like, this is it. Like, this transit is going to take me. And at the time, I was like, this was horrible. But now that I look back on it, I'm like, wow, I'm really glad that I went through some of the stuff that I went through, because it taught me some very valuable lessons about better taking care of myself. And where I needed to be better with boundaries and my home especially. And there's a lot of clearing karmically in relation to the relationship with mothers and also you as a mother, right? Because Saturn actually is kind of cusping on your 5th house. So it's going to be about working through family related things. I would wonder, hey, you got Moon conjunct Neptune, Saturn in the 4th. Like, did you grow up watching like mom struggle, right? So are you working through issues revolving around like, oh, I'm tough, I'm good, everything's fine, I don't need to tell people I need help? And then on top of all that, Pluto is coming into your 4th house, girl. So it's preparing you to go, okay, time to dig out all the rot, right? With both of your own hands in regards to your family or physically within your home. And it's going to get better. Like when you have this much Saturn in your chart and this much emphasis in Capricorn, you get like all of the life lessons prior to 30. And then it's like, once you're done with your Saturn return, I'm not going to say it's a cakewalk, but it's going to get a lot easier. Okay. And you have to just be mindful. You're in the midst of having Pluto in opposition to your Mercury. So there's going to be like mental stress coming up, Pluto in the 3rd, revolving around fears of whether or not your career is going to work out, if home's going to work out. There can be also like this tightening of the chest with Mercury retrograde in Cancer, and you got Pluto in the opposition. So I really think it would be a good idea for you to be doing breathwork exercises. Lay down, put your hands on your chest, and just breathe into your body. Pluto's trying your chart, Lord, too. So the lesson is that when you speak up and you communicate and let people know that you need help, that you need assistance, right? You need partnership. People can hold space for you, but it's about communicating. And hiking, yoga, you know, doing things that are very Saturn oriented. Get up and do work around the house on Saturday. That's one thing I would recommend. Make Saturday your day where you get things done. Make Saturday the day where you do all of your emotional cleanup work and maintenance too. That would be really helpful. Donate black clothes on a Saturday. You know, do something nice for an older relative. Open the door for elderly people, right? Things that we should be doing anyway, but if you do some of that stuff for Saturn, you will notice that the oppressive feelings of Saturn kind of lightens up a little bit. So I need lots of good vibes in the midst of your Saturn return. Let's go to Sarah. And what's up, Marsha? Okay, so let's see here. I had Sarah's info. Sarah M. Hey Candice, using my second month reading. Got your info. I'm traveling overseas extensively for work this year. Well, that's nice. I wonder what's going on with your sun. Okay, so you're still playing off of the eclipses off of your sun. You're also going to start seeing that Uranus is getting really close to your natal Jupiter. Ding, ding. So that's what it is. So that's also really triggering like changes with your schedule, right? Especially in regards to like having to, you know, spontaneously travel or adjusting to new time zones or adjusting to new routines, making it easier for you to do that. Uranus being the ruler of your 4th house. So it seems like the one challenge is just going to be like how you're maintaining things within your home, keeping up with stuff. I also wonder, like, if you're traveling a lot, are you leaving your house unoccupied? I know that sounds weird, but as Saturn's coming into conjunction with your Mars, I'm not saying you won't travel this year, but until Saturn comes out of conjunction with your Mars, there may not be much more traveling until closer to like April, May. Just food for thought. Because Saturn, Mars in the 4th is like, I need to be home, or something's going on with home, or there's some like limitations and challenges revolving around home. I could see that as like creative ways to be able to utilize your home while you're not there, right? You let people stay there, or you consider subleasing it or renting it or something like that. But traveling this year, I think that that's more going to be connected to, as a Sag rising, Jupiter moving through your 5th house. Okay. So it's not just travel for work. It's also traveling for fun. And throughout the next 2 years, you're going to see that you're going to have your Jupiter return, 2024, Jupiter conjunct Uranus in the 6th house. You're making a lot more time for travel. And then you're going to have Jupiter coming into conjunction with your sun. So actually it's going to be like a year's worth of travel, maybe a year and a half, all the way until Jupiter goes into Gemini. So yeah, I mean, I think probably, and I would say traveling pretty comfortably in Taurus, right? And so being that Jupiter is associated with expansion and abundance, it's your chart ruler, I'm wondering if it's like also about being able to maintain healthy patterns and habits while you are traveling. Jupiter's sun in the 6th house. I think that you're going to spend a little bit more money on like scheduling and maybe, you know, more comfortable seats. You might, you know, consider some upgrades or be flying or traveling like business class. And I really like how Jupiter and Uranus are going to be in your 6th house sextiling your moon. I feel like there's going to be lessons revolving around how to stay organized, how to stay healthy, how to also make sense of what it is that you actually need in your day-to-day. Any, you know, Jupiter, Sun in the 6th house, like I'm sure their health and fitness and wellness is all theme, but also there can be this sense of like overloading your schedule or overloading your suitcase. So there may be a sense of like really asking yourself, like, what do I need? Like, what's a necessity? And learning new ways to be able to focus on health and fitness in the midst of traveling, right? So that might be another thing. But yeah, once you start to see Jupiter come into conjunction with your natal Jupiter, that is going to be making sextiles to your moon. And I think that that's also prompting the opportunity to have a lot of changes in regards to scheduling. So you might notice that there's still some impacts here on places that you're going to be going. Will I make more money doing this, expanding business overseas? Well, Saturn's in conjunction to Mars. No, you won't. To me, it looks like you're just focusing on getting something started. And I don't know if you're working for yourself or if you're just starting to do something new. But it's going to take until Saturn is off of your Mars that you're making money. When you see Saturn in a trine to your Venus, you might look around and go like, okay, I think this is going to work. That's going to be like March through May is when you're going to start seeing those doors open. But money in your chart is ruled by Saturn. Saturn's going to be in a trine to your Venus pretty much all year. It tells me that, yes, you're making money, but you're spending money. And you got Venus in the 8th house. So that's going to be about really being on top of all of your taxes and anything that you're potentially writing off as a self-employed person, including like home expenses, health insurance, all of that stuff, right? But Saturn trining your Venus all year makes me feel like by the end of this year, or at the very least by about June or July, that's when you're going to start seeing more money coming in. And like, of course, you're going to have money when you have your Jupiter return because it's going to trine your natal Saturn, right? And it's also going to make trines to Neptune. So every single time Jupiter is in the early degrees, as it will be later this year, you're going to see money come in. But money making periods, May, July, November, December. These are going to be the months where you're going to see that there's going to be more growth. Yeah, making money is the focus this year, but you need really solid Saturn transits. And so one thing I would say, you don't have this for a little while, so don't worry. But something that you need to be mindful of is in a couple years' time, when we get to like 2026, when Saturn and Neptune are both shifting signs and they're going into Aries, you're going to have Saturn and Neptune move into Aries, okay? 2025 going into 2026. And they are going to square your natal Saturn-Uranus. So what that tells me is that the money that you continue to make is very much going to be dictated based off of where you're living. So this makes me feel like you may continue to do international business for a couple of years, but something's going to change in about 2 or 3 years and you're going to go, oh, I'm going to do better being in a foreign land. Boom, Jupiter's conjuncting your moon and you're probably moving somewhere else at the end of 2025, the beginning of 2026. So as you're going through the motions of doing business with people in other places and traveling around and expanding, get a feel for this year while Jupiter's in your 4th house, what may potentially be the best place to call home in the future. But between North Node in your 4th, Jupiter on your moon, Saturn and Neptune square Saturn, yeah, you're not going to stay where you've been living forever. So it's really important to kind of keep that open mind in terms of where you're doing business and who you're doing business with. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful. What's up, SR? Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm going to give you guys 2 more minutes to get in the queue and then I'm closing this because I probably should have done that already, but that's okay. Because I'm sure we have a number of people here. We do. Okay, 2 minutes and then I'm closing it. All right, so let's go now to Steve. What's up, Steve? I've missed you a couple times, so I'm glad that I finally caught you. My Scorpio rising friend. My goodness, you have got a lot going on. This Mars retrograde has been kind of crazy for you. Having your chart ruler Mars going retrograde in your 8th house. Dealing with communications with siblings, right? Working out some financial or vehicle obligations, contracts, estates, wills, insurance. I'm sure you have lots of interesting stories as to all the things that have panned out over the last month or two. You know, Mars is now direct, so, you know, you're good there. Mars is coming into conjunction with Mercury, so I wonder, like, have you been trying to feel like you're finding your clan, you're finding your friends, you're wanting to connect with people more, and you're hoping that it's going to be like a much more consistent group? Now that Mars is direct, it'll make that conjunction to Mercury, and it's also going to be trining your Neptune. Maybe it's just about like socializing more on the internet, but I feel like it's about kind of breaking out of your comfort zone and being able to connect with other people more. Also, Steve, you and Stephanie are kind of in like the same camp, huh? With that Saturn transit. Even though you're a Scorpio, you still have Saturn going through your 4th house for a little bit longer, right? So you're in your Saturn opposed Saturn moment. Daylight savings time. So is this correct? I want to make sure. Is it the wrong ascendant? Let me know. Oh, Libra ascendant. Got it. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Sometimes it does not catch. Is it catching? Huh. I think this happened last time. What's the specific degree? Can you tell me? Because it's not picking up. Libra. I have you 5:44 p.m. But it's not changing the time zone, unfortunately. Oh, you're giving me the coordinates. Okay, that's fine. 122.56, yeah. And then 46 north with 8. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, it's just for some reason, I mean, I can change the time. Is it making it? Hold on, let me see. Let me check and see if this is right. I think this happened last time. I remember this distinctly happening last time. What's the exact degree? What's up, Wendy? Hey, Marsha. Thank you. What's the exact degree? Is it 25 degrees ascendant? Unfortunately, this doesn't like let me change the ascendant degree. Let me know. I changed the time, you know? Thanks, Adrian. Send your question and hang out for a hot minute. It's gonna be a little while. Okay, so still, even as a Libra rising, you're still, depending on the degree, you're coming into your Saturn opposed Saturn, okay? So one thing that you want to be mindful of is like, this is the halfway point from your first Saturn return, halfway to your next Saturn return. You got Saturn in Leo, challenges in regards to creativity, challenges in regards to love, sometimes about happiness or self-fulfillment at 29 degrees. Okay, cool. We got this. We fixed it. So still, Saturn in the 4th opposed Saturn is like, there's a lot of reflecting on coulda, shoulda, woulda. That happens right around the time that you're coming to your next Saturn's return. Actually, this will be your 3rd one. So my question is, how are you feeling? Because to me, it seems kind of limiting. It feels limiting in terms of, how am I supposed to feel emotionally? Where am I supposed to be living? Where is home? Where am I going to find the most happiness? So on and so forth. You know? As you proceed forward, though, I mean, all the Libra risings are really pleased to hear the Jupiter transits in the 7th, really opening up relationships and partnerships. The biggest thing that I'm looking at once you come out of your Saturn opposition is just Pluto coming into conjunction with your IC. So it's very clear to me, both between your Saturn transit and between your Pluto on your IC transit, something really significant is about to change in regards to your home life, right? Pluto is the ruler of your second house of ownership, and it's getting ready to go into your fourth house. So you're going to see this theme over the next year that you're like, what can I own or possess that's going to bring me security, right? Where do I want to live? So there's going to be the theme of property, home, inheritance. Pluto is very powerful. So I think that as I know recently you've lost a parent, I hope you're doing better with that. But I wonder, like, are there going to be other situations where you're having to be present with transitions that are going on in the family? I only say that because the transiting nodes are getting ready to square Pluto. I also notice you're getting ready to come into an eclipse that's going to be pretty much conjunct your North Node in April. Then you're getting ready to see that you're having your North Node return. So it's going to be like pretty much mid-April through the better part of September. That's about relationships, partnerships, right? North Node in Aries, ruled by Mars. Mars is in your 7th house, where you're finding security and stability through the actions of others. Sometimes it's about airing stuff out, okay? I don't always share the same perspective that other astrologers have about everything. I feel like sometimes it can mean that there is some opposition, there are some challenges. You have to air problems out, yes. And you're having a full moon on your Pluto, which is also the ruler of the 2nd house. So it's going to be about, where do I feel like I have power in regards to my possessions, right? Possessions, it's at a 14. So it's about money. So there's money stuff going on in the midst of Saturn opposed Saturn. And maybe how you feel about the give and take with family. That's the other way that I could look at it. My goodness. And then here comes Jupiter into a square with Pluto. I mean, to be really honest with you, you're going to see that there's going to be people who are going to come into your life over this next year and then some, because Jupiter's going to sit on your Mars quite a bit, where there's going to be opportunity for support and people who are going to push you out of your comfort zone, right? They may challenge you in regards to resources. They may challenge you in regards to like money and ownership, but they may also be very generous. Jupiter's going to sit on your Mars square Pluto. I would just say be mindful that everything comes with there might be a catch, right? So you may go through a period where, you know, you're doing a lot more, you're doing a lot better financially. There's some kind of abundance that shows up, Jupiter and Uranus in your 8th house. And people see that and they might go, oh, what can he do for me? Square Pluto. But whatever's going on with this full moon, because this is the opposition between the sun and the moon, I feel like this is going to be really highlighting where you come into your personal power, realizing that it's beyond possessions. You're like, you know, it's not just about things. I don't think you have that problem anyway. You have Chiron in the 2nd house. Maybe the problem is going to be about receiving, right? Saying thank you. Yes, I received that. Not knowing how to take it. And yeah, Pluto is approaching your Jupiter and your moon, but Jupiter is the ruler of your 3rd house. I mean, at a 2. I don't like saying this, but it means that there could be cousins, there could be siblings, there could be aunts or uncles, if you still have any of those people around, who may transition and leave you land, right? You have Jupiter at a 2. Jupiter-Pluto is about extreme wealth. Well, Jupiter in Aquarius is wealth of friends, wealth of knowledge, right? So it is possible that, okay, let's say, touch wood, obviously we don't hope this happens, but something happens, you find out you inherit property from some relative and you're like, wow, I'm going to turn it into a recreation center, or I'm going to, you know, host spiritual events, or I'm going to turn it into a place where people can come and they can camp and they can lodge, and it's this communal thing. And then all of a sudden it brings you a wealth of friends, it brings you a wealth of information. Maybe you drill on the property, you find oil, right? Jupiter, Pluto. Aquarius is not likely to be that as much, maybe, but I think the Pluto moon stuff is going to be more about transformations regarding your responsibility. And for Libras also, that Aquarius belongs to your whole sign 5th. So it may also mean that you feel like,
oh, I didn't have children, but now there's these younger people who I have that are in my life and I feel like they're my adopted children. That could be the case, right? And watch for, I would also say, like, coming into contact, like you're going to come into contact with like a lot more like spiritual women, because Jupiter Pluto is wisdom, right? So it's the power of wisdom. Conjunct the moon is going to be women. So I think you're going to meet like medicine women, and you're going to meet like all of these kind of like energy healers and people. And so I think it's going to be about what you do with whatever it is that you end up possessing through these transits, and how you use that to support other people who then in turn want to help the community, you know? But it's all starting, literally, it's all starting with Saturn coming into opposition with Saturn. So I want you to reflect on, usually Saturn in Leo is the lack of creativity, the lack of possibly feeling like you have enough self-love, or that you have the ability to share your talents with the world. So here comes Saturn. It's like, okay, am I going to share it with other people, with younger people? You know, I like the Jupiter moon conjunction. I think that's going to be really good. When Pluto shows up, it's going to really open up your creativity a lot, you know? Keep me updated, man. Definitely circle back. I really want to see you at the beginning of April, okay? So just put it on your calendar that you need to catch one of these lives, because I really want to look at how that eclipse is going to be impacting you. So let's try to make it maybe the end of March for your monthly. If not, come back the beginning of April and let's look at that eclipse more closely, because it's going to be smack dab in conjunction to your North Node. Okay? Sending you good vibes. I'm sure we'll chat soon. Thanks for supporting the channel. Let's welcome our newest member, Mystic Road. Let's pull you up here. Let's see. I think I saved it under both names. There we go. Okay, Tonya. There we go. 4/15/68. No, that's not right. There we go. Let's change this. Apologies. I don't think I saved the date. There we go. 4/15/1968. 2:40 p.m. Okay. Now I've got it. Sorry. There we go. All right, Mystic Road, Virgo rising, Sun in Aries. You and Steve should get together. Your moon is right on his descendant. He's going to be super wealthy, girl. I'm going to play astrological matchmaker. You guys have really good synastry together. Just saying. Just saying. And your Jupiter sits right on top of his Saturn. Maybe you guys can link up or something. Okay, so taking a look at what you got going on in your transits. You just wrapped up a Mercury retrograde in your 5th house. Mercury coming into conjunction with your Pluto is something I would watch for here pretty soon. That seems like there's going to be some important conversations about change and transformation, matters of the heart. Especially with that square that's coming towards your sun, you know? Do you have a particular question for me? Or do you want me to talk about that full moon that's going to be in your 12th house? What questions do you have for me? I like how all the ladies are talking about Steve's chart. Everybody likes that Aquarius moon. And you guys have the same Mars. Just general, okay. I just think the biggest thing is, yeah, wrapping up the Mercury retrograde. You've got Mercury coming into conjunction with Pluto. The moon's in opposition to it right now. And then here comes Mercury in a couple days' time, and it's going to conjunct that Pluto. So it's, fifth house, matters of the heart. If you're self-employed, creative projects, there can be like difficult conversations expressing and talking about how you feel with romantic partners, even with like children, loved ones. The nice thing is though, is that you have the Pluto and Uranus in Virgo. So you're going to see trines. So that's going to trine out to your first and second house. I'm wondering like what the process has been as you've been going through that, because for an Aries, it's been a lot of through the retrograde. What am I working on? Where are my responsibilities? Where can I make changes in my professional life? And then boom, now it's coming into a square. I could park my RV lane and help with a spiritual retreat. Perfect. Secondly, I'm also liking that Jupiter is coming into a conjunction with your Venus. Hello. That's a once in a 12-year transit. It got close here though. I think when Jupiter retrograded, I think it's stationed on your Venus. So it was like kind of like a precursor for like, hey, there may be some really significant shifts in regards to relationships and bringing people in that may bring you more substance, or they might just be more generous. But that conjunction is happening right around the 10th. So chart ruler conjunct Mercury in the 5th, finding out what you really love, what you're most passionate about. Jupiter conjunct Venus, 7th house Lord conjunct Venus. And then at the same exact time, you're also seeing that Mars is coming finally, well, it's going to be about a month, out of some of these squares with your 7th house, So to me, it seems like there's been this sense of like, there's like home stuff and then there's like work stuff. And it's like, I don't know what's going on. It's hard to make sense of all of the squares. I think you'll be really happy when we get to the second half of March and Mars is no longer like assaulting all of the mutable squares. There's going to be a lot of work throughout the next month or so, So I definitely think that it's about working through that. But you may actually find some really significant turning points in relationships because of the Jupiter Venus, but also because Saturn's coming into conjunction with your 7th. So in a way, I think like the full moon for you is like this clearing of maybe where you've been feeling like you've been hiding out a lot. And in the meantime, you've got Jupiter that's still in harmonious aspect to your moon. Yeah, I mean, you're going to bring more money in too. March, April, maybe even into May. Jupiter and Venus and planets going through your 8th house and then an eclipse. It can feel like money in, money out, but I think that you're probably really going to like the North Node moving through your 8th house. You finally finished up having it go through your Mars. Once that North Node gets into Aries, it's going to touch on your Sun, and it's going to be about total transformation of self, total transformation behind the scenes. So it's like you want to get as much work done between now and the fall as physically possible, because I have a feeling as soon as the North Node sits on your Sun, you're like, I'm traveling, I'm going to take a course, I'm going to be somewhere else. Like I want to kind of hide. If you want to set up an Etsy shop, just do it anytime before April, because all planets are direct, basically. And if you are in the midst of thinking about that now, likely it's because Mercury is coming into conjunction with Pluto. So it's like, what am I passionate about? So I would recommend doing it after a new moon. The 7th house is services. So do it after the new moon that's going to be in Pisces. Which is going to be at 1 degree. So maybe something like, maybe right around your Venus return. Mercury trine Mars, maybe somewhere around February 25th. You're going to have moon exaltation, you're going to have Venus conjunct Venus, the Sun coming into your 7th house, and you're going to have Mercury still in a trine with Mars. So aim for right around that February 25th time. That gives you enough time to do that. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful. Thanks for joining. I don't get to do a lot of election astrology on the live, so it's always interesting to have people ask. Yes, there are good times to do things. People don't always realize that, you know? Like the difference between a successful launch and like a whatever launch is literally the astrology. Generally, you want to do it after a new moon phase or just as you're coming into a full moon. You want to make sure that Mercury and Venus are in positive aspect to each other, you know? But that's what you get by talking to an astrologer. They're going to tell you all that stuff. Okay, so we're going to move now to all of our other people who have made donations. Brianna, Jasmine, and Sherry, you guys are on deck. So let's pull this information up. Okay, so Brianna, 11593. So you're an Aries rising. Hey Candace, I'm considering moving out of my hometown, relocating to another part of Florida, just not resonating with the energy here. Want to be around more like-minded people. Noted the South Node is transiting my moon in the 4th house in the solar return chart. Okay. Oh, your solar return chart. Okay. So yeah, South Node in the 4th house could be letting go of your home. Your lease ends June 26, 2023, and you have to let your apartment company know if you're renewing by April 26, right after the eclipse. Does it look like moving is in the stars? I'll have finances. Will I have the financials to do it? Okay. Don't worry, Adrian. You're probably number 15 or 16. So I would say come back in an hour. Don't worry. We're not going to forget about you. So yes, I do see that being the case, that likely you're going to move. Not only because you said in your solar return chart you had the South Node in the 4th, but I'm noticing that you have the transiting South Node coming into conjunction with your moon, which is your ruler of the 4th house. You're also going to be having a Mars return in the 4th house this summer. You're also going to be having an eclipse that's on your ascendant. Money, you know, having the money to do things is more Venus. And currently you have Venus in the 12th. You're getting ready to have your Venus return. Saturn is also going to start getting really close to your Venus. It's not going to conjunct it until next year. My advice for you, because you have a Scorpio moon and because the moon in Scorpio is not as comfortable, a bit of advice. Be careful with roommates, because the fact that your moon is in the 7th house, which is the ruler of the 4th, makes me feel like you may have situations where you would consider getting a roommate, you're not wild about them, and you move, and then you decide that you want to move again around the eclipse that's going to happen in Taurus this fall, because it'll oppose that. You could do something short term, knowing that this is coming. Let's say you find somebody who's like, hey, I need somebody to do a lease takeover. You know, I need you to take over my lease until the fall of this year. You know, can you do it? I need to get out. That might be a perfect scenario. Or if you need to do something temporarily and you're willing to stay with somebody or have a roommate, or if you're willing to kind of put up with what can be some challenges. I'm not going to say it's going to be difficult, but there can be some challenges in regards to relations with other people, especially involving money, Scorpio, others, 7th house, 2 degrees. And I would just say be mindful of what you're spending this year, because as Saturn comes into conjunction with your Venus at the beginning of next year, trine your Mars, it makes me feel like if you are careful with what you're spending, you're going to be a lot better off financially next year when Saturn hits your Venus. And you may be in a situation where you can afford like a much nicer or a better space, or maybe you're looking at trying to like buy something, or maybe you're moving in with a partner and you have more spending power. But just be mindful of that, you know, and you can see situations where you're like, oh, this person's supposed to be leaving their apartment, and they're like, yeah, you can take this place over. And then there's like issues, right? Especially as planets start coming into opposition with the moon, people who are kind of wishy-washy. Same thing with like landlords and stuff. Like you may find out that you're about to sign a lease and they're like, it's going to be this extra fee, this extra fee, this extra fee, you know? But yeah, your Mars return is coming, and then the South Node's also hitting your moon. So that's like a double whammy. And then you've got Jupiter coming into a square with Mars, and Jupiter and Venus together in your sign, squaring Mars, where you're going to be like, I want to do this on my own. I don't want to have to do this with other people. And as Jupiter comes into Aries, like into like 14, 15 degrees, it's going to start assaulting everything. It's going to oppose your Jupiter, which is going to be other people. It's going to square your, Uranus, Neptune, which is going to kind of have challenges in terms of navigating like responsibility, or you may have some challenges with like superiors or people at work. And then it's going to square your Mars. I have planets in angular houses like this in cardinal degrees within the first 10 degrees. And throughout this last year, I've had Jupiter go into Aries, and it's been like ding, ding, ding. And it's like I moved, I had work changes, I had all kinds of stuff in terms of the houses. No, you're not going to be broke next year. Venus is your second house lord, though. So I think it's really important that you realize that you can't be fearful of money. And there also needs to be a sense of like giving back, because Venus is in the 12th house. It might mean that, you're giving support, might mean that you receive support. But no, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be broke. Saturn's going to hit your Venus right when you have Jupiter and Uranus go into your second house. So you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. But yeah, you're definitely going to be moving. Just be careful with like the women that you take up with, because they can be kind of difficult, And watch for when Jupiter squares your Mars, because you're going to have opportunities to move sooner than when you're anticipating moving. And equally, if you tell your landlord, hey, I am going to be moving, I'm not staying here, they might be like, well, when can we come in? We want to take pictures. We want to fix things. Can we get in? Can we see things? Can we do walkthroughs? And you're going to be like, get out of my space, because it's squaring your Mars in Cancer. So you're going to be kind of iffy about them being like, okay, well, can we show it? I would be like, no. You're going to feel a little bit more defensive over your space. That's all. And then Jupiter is going to oppose your moon. And that tells me that you're going to have opportunities to find new spaces. Yeah, get ready. Because as soon as because Jupiter is going to be about your beliefs and also your personal space, first house, as soon as it starts squaring your Mars and your Uranus, Neptune, you're going to be like, I don't know how I feel about this. And I think it's going to be about taking pictures, getting in there and taking pictures, or doing evaluations of what the place looks like, because they're probably going to want to rent it immediately, and you're going to be like, I don't want you in here. Hopefully that's helpful. Okay, so we got Jasmine. Jasmine, I did not see you ask a question. Do you have a particular question for me? Otherwise, I'll tell you what's going to happen with the full moon. July 2689. Oh, 29 degrees, Capricorn rising. Huh. Are you surviving? Are you thriving? I hope you're thriving. What a good time to get a reading when the moon is conjunct your descendant and it's opposition to Pluto on your ascendant. Well, just general. Okay. So the full moon for Cap risings you're going to hear is in your 8th house, right? Because that's the Capricorn 8th house ruler. To be honest with you, with Pluto on your ascendant, you're probably just kind of like, just bring it on. Like, if it hasn't already, if life hasn't already killed me, then I can handle anything at this point. Because it's the 8th house energy, it's interesting. It's like really activating the fact that you're like, I'm going through change. I have to embrace things ending and new beginnings. Pluto on your ascendant is going to be very loud for the next like 6 months, and you'll really feel it in July. So just a heads up. It's kind of like you're getting your passport stamped, going to the underworld and back. Lots and lots of water, okay? And look into a supplement called resveratrol, because it'll help you purify and detox on a cellular level. Just be mindful that you can get kind of dark sometimes. There can be really intense periods where you're like, I don't feel like I'm in control. Hiking can be really helpful, but also it's like a very psychic transit, because 29 degrees is psychic. So you might start having like weird paranormal things. Like, do you feel like you can sense that spirits are around? Just wondering, just asking for a friend. But the full moon is interesting because it's in Leo, but if you look at your chart, Leo's intercepted, right? So basically, if you use Placidus, it gets swallowed up. Your 7th house of relationship starts at Cancer. Your 8th house of others and joint resources starts at Virgo. So anything you have in Leo, or when there are lunations or transits in Leo, you can sometimes feel like you get hit by like a Mack truck and things come from other people that you don't see coming, right? So go and learn about interceptions. You got Sun, Mercury, Mars, and your South Node all intercepted. Leo is about happiness. It's about creativity. It's about romance. It's about children, taking chances in the 7th house. So with a full moon here, square your Pluto, also square Uranus. It makes me feel like there can be things going on with other people who are just challenging your belief or your philosophy, right? Like not a time to get into like a back and forth about spiritual philosophies and beliefs and religion and politics. Like if somebody challenges you with that stuff, I would be like, I'm not going to waste my breath on this. Can a full moon in your 7th house bring a conclusion or a completion of a relationship? Sure. It is awfully close to your Mercury. So that does tell me that there is going to be a sense of at least having conversations with other people about what is and is not working for them. And I think that the Sun opposition is very fascinating because it may materialize as you being like, yeah, I don't know if I agree with that, or I don't really know if I jive with that, or like, I need some space. You're probably going to not feel like picking up the phone. Saturn's on your North Node right now too, so that's also like kind of screaming like boundaries, focusing on yourself, focusing on building yourself up right now. It may be a sense of feeling like you have to kind of put on your oxygen mask first before you can deal with other people's drama, right? But whenever you have a full moon that's going to be really close to a personal planet, yeah, you can see it kind of doing what it does. So Mercury wants to talk. Mercury in Leo is kind of loud and proud and dramatic. And something about the Sun being in your 1st house in opposition to that makes me feel like you're like, I can't hold space for everybody else right now. I'm going through my thing, so please leave a message. Jasmine says, I actually took a mental health day today and turned on a do not disturb. So yes to all of that. Good, I like that. Personally, I think we got you, Wendy, don't worry. I would say you may feel like you need to stay with this just a little bit longer. Thankfully, today's Friday. The dust settles a little bit once the moon gets into Virgo. And by the time the moon is like hitting your Venus, getting closer to like the 7th, things are going to ease up a little bit. So good for you for taking that mental health day, right? It might need to be a mental health weekend, because when there are full moons in Leo, especially when we see hard angular things going on, like people kind of have meltdowns. You don't need to worry about other people's stuff right now. Not your problem. Focus more on getting grounded. Really listen with Pluto on your ascendant. It can feel like a personal crisis, but it can also be empowerment. And if you're having any kind of like significant dreams or anything like that, like, you know, write them down. Hang in there. Hopefully things get easier. It'll be nice to see Saturn off your North Node and out of this opposition with Mars, right? So I think it's so interesting that you have so many placements in the 7th house where there can be this feeling of like your life is being dictated by other people and like other people's needs and like constantly jumping to be with other people. Really lean on Saturn in your 12th house. It's like you need time away from other people. You need your own space. Sometimes you need to sleep in your own bed. Sometimes you need to meditate. You need to just check out for a little bit. That is the solution to some of that stuff in your 7th house. Hopefully that's helpful. Sending you good vibes. Hang in there. Reminds me of like middle school. You guys remember like those posters where it had like the cat and it was like, hang in there. Okay, I'm super old. I feel super old. We have Sherry, Vanessa, Rome, and Amy. You guys are all on deck. Let's pull up Sherry's chart. There we go. 11/26/94. Oh, I got another one who's got Saturn in opposition to Mars. Yeah, I love those posters. I feel like I need to get one of those and like put it on my office. So when I'm listening to everything, I'm just like Reminding myself, okay, it's not just me that's feeling crazy. Sherry says, hi Candace, I'm an artist. I'd like to share my illustration of a celebrity online this month. Would the full moon in Leo be a good opportunity for visibility? If you have anything else you'd like to add, you see within my chart for the month of February, please let me know. You got it. No worries, Jenna. Reservatrol. Okay, so you're Libra rising. This full moon is obviously in your 10th house. So it's a good time to make a splash. And the moon rules your 10th house. So of course you're like, I want to do this. What I would say is like, yeah, I mean, you can do things during a full moon. The thing is that this full moon is going to square your nodes. So it's like, I kind of like that. That's sassy. A full moon square your nodes. It's kind of like show up. Put it out there. When a full moon squares the nodes of the moon, it basically suggests that it's like this is like a defining moment. I would do it. I think it's a good idea. The squares to Uranus means that like you're different, and that's also about highlighting like famous people. And then the moon is going to come into a square after this with Mercury and also Jupiter. So here is my question. If you are here, Sherry, let me know. Do you have prints available? Because Mercury is the ruler of your 12th house. And I wonder, like, if you put this photo out, do you have prints? Because the moon is then going to come into an opposition with Saturn and it's going to square Mercury and Jupiter. So that's like money-making opportunities. You know, do you? Are you going to have everything ready? I have a printer, but no prints yet. Is there a way for you to have orders like on a website? Like, are you just doing this just to like promote your work? Or are you hoping that you're going to put this out, draw attention, and people are going to buy things? I guess what I'm getting at is that literally the next day you're going to have a bunch of traffic, right? Because the 12th house is about the business that you do with people in other countries or other places. So I get this feeling that you're going to put something out there and then it's going to swing and it's going to be like, people are like, how do I find her? Where is there more? And like, you want to make sure that you have something that people can go and see. But if you just want attention and you just want to be loud and proud, yes, do it while the full moon is in your 10th house. Being that it's going to square the moon, the nodes, and also Uranus, it makes me feel like it's going to bring quite a bit of attention. So just a bit of advice, make the most of it. You know, post a couple of things within the next week once you've gained a little bit of a following. But I really like this for you. I do. Especially as your chart ruler Venus is coming into conjunction with Saturn in a sextile to Uranus, where you're going to get more eyes and maybe be a little bit more active over the next week with your social media stuff. That's my advice. And part of Saturn being in Aquarius for a Libra rising is just doing stuff that's weird. Being creative in a weird, futuristic, kind of like abstract way, and just flying the freak flag. So to see like Saturn now coming out of a square with Mercury and Jupiter and Pluto, where it's been landlocked for this last year, is really cool. Because I feel like this is the moment that's like, no, put it out there. Just do it. It has to be authentic. It has to be different, right? And 5th house is celebrities. So this is like that turning point where it's like you start to see the fruit of where you've held back or you've been doubtful all year in terms of like whether or not you're like, oh, is this good? Is this not good? I have a Scorpio stellium too, and I'm a Libra rising, and that square fucking sucked this entire year because it's been me being like, is this good enough? Should I do this? I don't know if people are going to like this. And like, now that the square is leaving, I don't care anymore. And I will wear pastel outfits on the internet, apparently. Like, I just don't care anymore. Like, now I'm just going to start talking about what I want to talk about. Because there's something that's really cool that happens when you're coming out of that square, where you're not only no longer doubting yourself, but you are like, this is cool, you know? And also I love that you have Saturn in Pisces. So it's like you're getting a lot of support from the cosmos prior to your Saturn return, which you will be in all year. And you're going to realize that it's literally about prints, right? Prints, Pisces, things that you photograph or print or things that you alter or manipulate. And it's out of 5, so it's about celebrities. So this may be the very beginning of a whole series of things that you end up doing that you're working on all year long. So yes, do it. Also, follow my Instagram, tag me in it. I'd love to see what it is, especially if it's weird and wacky. All right, so we've got Vanessa. Oh boy, I was out today when I saw this PayPal. And I was like, oh. Girl, I'm going to tell you, I told you, I don't know if it was last week or it was a couple weeks ago. I was like, listen, Mercury is getting ready to come into a conjunction with Pluto in your 7th house. And likely that's going to manifest as there being like a significant conversation, right, with someone. So this is for you, Vanessa. Vanessa says, hi. The Virgo texted me this morning saying, let's have a talk this week in person. That doesn't, I don't know how I feel about that. That would give me anxiety. Please give me insight and tell me how he feels about me and how this is going to go. Thanks. Basically, Mercury's been doing its dance and its retrograde through your 7th house of relationships. There's been a back and forth for the last month and a half. Mercury can be about changing directions when it's retrograde. So it's kind of like, do I have the talk with her? Do I not? Do I have the talk with her? Do I not? And here comes Mercury coming into conjunction pretty soon with Pluto. So that's not going to be happening closer until round about February 8th, 9th, 10th. You might see it a little bit sooner. Pluto is the final stop. Okay, so Pluto is kind of like, okay, this has to change or this has to end or I have to release the pressure in this situation. Can it be about endings? Sure. Can it be about tough conversations with Mercury, Pluto? Absolutely. The fact that Pluto is also about to conjunct the South Node and Mercury is there. The fact that it's also coming into a square with still with Pluto and in opposition to your Mars. Okay. Here's the feeling that I'm getting. I'm getting the feeling that he's going to have a conversation with you where he may possibly talk about cutting something and taking space, but it's happening when there is a T-square with your natal Pluto, right? So Mercury, Pluto on the South Node in opposition to Mars. I just really feel inclined to tell you, whatever he says to you, you don't push back because your Mars and your Moon is going to get triggered. And you're going to go, I'm going to react or I'm going to lash out or I'm going to get angry or I don't like what they're telling me. And we can change this. Like it's not necessarily definitive, but if there's been some weird communication for the last month, likely he's going to tell you why and what the reasoning is. I also feel inclined to tell you that Pluto is getting ready to finally leave Capricorn, so that can be some jaw-dropping things that can happen in relationships right when this transit happens. You've also got Pluto coming into conjunction with your South Node, which is really activating the fact that you're like, I can't hold on to toxic stuff, or I can't be with people who don't know what they want, or they, have mismatched values from me. We could go down the road and even look at your transits in July and August. And I look at that and I'm like, that's a little bit more difficult, my dear, because then you're going to have the nodes landlocked in a square with Pluto, which essentially means for Cancer risings, there's going to be this like really clear moment where you're like, I can't be friends with benefits, or I can't be undefined, or having this like toxic relationship where there's power struggles and you want to be friends and I want something more. Like it's going to push you to that point just with your transits, right? Do I think that he may potentially cut things? Yeah, it's possible, because Mercury is an archetype of Virgo. He's a Virgo. It's coming into conjunction with Pluto. Pluto is the ruler of your 5th house, whole sign. So it can be like him being, I don't know, just like, I don't have the time with my schedule, or I'm going through things, or it's just difficult because we have two different lifestyles, or you have a kid. I mean, he may say these things to you. But in my opinion, Mercury, Pluto in the 7th house is really representing where somebody else is having a breakdown of feeling like they don't have control over a situation. For all you know, it could be a situation where you sit down and talk to him and he's coming up with all these reasons why the relationship can't work, when in reality, it's him who's really having a difficult time showing up and communicating and being authentic in a relationship. So part of me feels inclined to tell you, you have to really be patient and not lash out. Right now, as the moon is in opposition to Pluto and Mercury, this energy is already building. So you don't need to wait for the full moon. It's literally today, tomorrow, I mean, all the way until Monday. And there will be clearer communication when the moon is getting into Virgo and it's making trines. So I don't know exactly what day did he say? What day are you guys supposed to be talking? Let's have a talk this week in person. Well, if that's the case, I'm hoping that you're having the conversation while the moon is in Virgo. And I don't like the 7th. Oh my God, tomorrow morning. Well, that's it, girl. That is it. If it's tomorrow, it's tomorrow. It's literally on the heels of the full moon. So whatever he says, my advice is, because it's going to be while Mercury is coming into conjunction with Pluto and we got a full moon, let it ride. And what you may find is that down the road on the phone, I thought you guys were going to meet in person. Talk in person. I mean, if you want to push and have it on the full moon, have at it. But expect with a full moon in the 8th house that there's going to be something that's definitely going to come up that, a full moon in Leo opposing planets in the 8th house. I don't want to, after all. Okay. Hey, it's up to you. You know, I would say to you, keep in mind, Saturn's going into Pisces, so you're a Virgo, and this is a relational aspect, and Saturn is about relationships and beliefs in regards to relationships. So it's like, you as a Virgo are going to want somebody who believes in relationships, who believes that things are possible, who communicates clearly. This is going to be your lesson literally for this entire next year, right? And I personally recommend, even though it's going to take everything inside of you to not lash out, please don't lash out, because it's really important for you to kind of let him speak his piece and have his moment. I know for a fact that when Saturn starts coming into an opposition with your sun, okay, and then you start to see that you're also having the nodes come into a square with Pluto again. So this will be like April through June, maybe July, right? That there's going to be opportunities probably to rehash this again, more so in July, right here. There we go. North node square Pluto. And then you got all these planets going into Cancer. So it could very well be like something where something flips, where it's like somebody comes back around and you're like, okay, what do you want? And then you go back and forth until July and you're like, nope, I don't choose this, you know? Patrick says, something is happening right now, government news. Fill us in. Hey, Christian. Thank you. He dragged me out waiting for over a week. I'm not going to jump to see him just to get dumped. Well, you're going to have an opportunity over the summer to be like, you choose. It's going to be up to you. But personally, I know that we're in the beginning of February and you're like, but that's July. But I kind of look at this and I'm like, for all my Cancer risings, I'm seeing this across the board. If you guys are not in healthy dynamics, you're going to realize that somebody's kind of power playing you. It's getting in the way of you guys being able to feel like you have authority in your own life. If you decide to kind of peace out now through some of these transitional times, you're going to have more power when people ultimately kind of come back around. And Saturn in opposition to your sun is literally not putting up with men who don't communicate well and they don't make you feel valued. So you don't want to wait until some of these transits kick in. But literally Mercury, Pluto he's gonna tell you something that he's been holding back and saying. And I think it's gonna be in regards to work scheduling and him having a difficult time working through something. I'm sorry to hear that. Keep me updated. Keep me updated, and know that when you start having some more positive transits kick in with Saturn, things are going to change. You got Jupiter in opposition to Saturn in 8, you know, so that's the other thing, is that there's stuff going on right now where it has less to do with you, it has more to do with him. Let me know what happens. You can come back, leave a comment if you want. Okay, everybody in the chat is obviously sending you lots of support. That's difficult. Don't take any shit. Don't take any shit from a DJ. Please. No. 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 I've been reading it for you way too long for that. Okay, we have Rome, Amy, Paula. Rome, another Virgo. DJ. Oh, man. All right, let's see. Where is Rome? There we go. All right. Well, Jerome, we meet again. You got a full moon that's coming in hot in your 5th house. Not bad. What's going on with Mars? Mars is waking up now. Mars is finally coming into some more positive aspects with your Mercury. That's nice. I mean, the full moon's going to be in your 5th house. So is it drama? Yeah. It's square Uranus in opposition to the 11th house. So it's kind of saying like fluctuations in regards to self-esteem, fluctuations in regards to money, resources. Thankfully, Jupiter's coming in for the win. You're going to feel like there's like this like baptismal type of energy with Jupiter on your ascendant at an 8, where you're going to be like, yeah, things are changing, but it's probably better to go with the change rather than against the grain. Really interesting transits right now. You're also getting ready to see that Jupiter is going to square your nodes. And Jupiter is intercepted in Pisces. It's also the ruler of the 9th. So I see this as like you going through a period of like praying a lot, sharing a lot, learning a lot, traveling a lot, embracing like that purification of 8 degrees. The positive thing is that you're going to kind of feel like, you know what, at least things are moving, even if things are uncomfortable. And whenever a planet squares the nodes, you have to integrate a little bit more faith. So I like that pretty much from mid-February all the way up until the time that Jupiter leaves 10 degrees. You're embracing healing more. You're also tending to your wounds better. So this will be the whole next month. And I also feel like prayer and positivity and all like that's going to go a really long way. Jupiter on the ascendant. It's going to go a really long way. You know, you'll hear for like the Virgo horoscopes, oh, period of transformation and rebirth. And so maybe it's like the sense of you being like, I like this new version of me that's emerging. Yes, Jupiter's going to start coming into an opposition with all your Libra, but maybe it's about you leaving old relationship habits and patterns behind, right? Everything is good for me. The only thing that's good for you is the gym. Okay, Aries rising. Also, you have to keep in mind, okay, you're coming into Pisces season soon. So this is the halfway point in regards to your year. And this is like whenever you hit that 6-month period to your birthday, this is like the pause and reflection moment where it's like, if you don't like where things are going, change it. It's also 8 degrees on your ascendant. But also for Leos, for the Leo full moon, for Virgos, hello, 12th house to your sun. So this tells me that there's new creative talents that are emerging. You might have a secret admirer. There can be a sense of you getting more inspired creatively, feeling like more open to connecting with people. I think you're going to feel a lot more ready when planets really start ingressing into Aries. So you're kind of still in like rest and recuperation mode. Maybe when Mercury and the Sun is sitting on your ascendant, things are going to shift a little bit and you're going to be feeling more like you want to be seen and you're out and about. That's the feeling that I'm getting. That's right around March 28th. I mean, I want you to treat the astrological new year almost as like your actual new year. Like you have the okay from me to kind of just hold space, be thinking positive thoughts, focusing on, I mean, I know it sounds silly, but literally prayer and trying to embrace some of the change that's going on right now, because until some of these planets sit on your ascendant, it's not going to be more so visible. And then you got eclipses in your first house. At the very least, you should be excited for all of the relationship and the karmic clearing you're getting ready to do here throughout this next year, right? Having the South Node go through Libra is going to kind of bring in people who you need for growth in relationships, but it's also going to kind of like undo all of the karmic bindings that you've had with other people. I noticed Saturn's going to oppose your moon and Mars is going to go into your 4th house. So are you anticipating having a home change at the end of March, beginning of April? Plus Jupiter on your ascendant, plus an eclipse. That might happen. That might happen. But at least, you know, I think the full moon is going to present you with the opportunity to start thinking more about creativity, romance, design, visualization, hidden talents. Like there might be a little opportunity for romance here. Rome. That might actually be a thing. You might really enjoy that. You're going to see even more of this over the summer, right? But it's really starting to emerge, I think, right around the time of this full moon this weekend. I think Stella's very much going to feel like she's getting her groove back at the end of March. You got a little bit more time of just like resting and recuperating. And if the gym is your thing, right? For many Virgos, you know, you've had Saturn going through Aquarius for the last 2.5 years. So structure, routine, health, showing up to that place where you feel like super connected. Like if that's what's keeping you grounded, keep doing that. Totally fine. It's okay. And really look into the Jupiter transit, the ascendant. Go back 12 years ago, right? Think about what was happening in like 2001, 2002. What am I saying? 2011, 2012. Look at those years. What new cycle started for you then? And it's extra potent because it sits on your ascendant and it's also going to square the nodes. Yeah, where we're living is really hard to heal, and healing is my main focus. So guess what? If your gym is your sacred healing time, continue staying with that. Make time for that. But equally, as planets are going through your 12th house, this can be like finding like Zen and Buddhist temples, places where you can go and you can meditate, where you can be feeling like there's high vibe, and also joining collective meditation groups. Like try to find some of those ones that are like on YouTube that might be live. Like find one that's live so you can do that with other people who are all doing it at the same time. That will help you as well. You have so many positive transits that are coming in though. Finally out of the Neptune opposition. Finally out of all of these Saturn opposition square type things. Things are going to get a whole lot easier here. Things are going to clear up for you. And you're realizing that the change is starting with you. It doesn't need to be prompted by other people anymore. Right? Strength in numbers. Sending you lots of good vibes, Rome. I'm telling you, you're going to feel so different come the end of March. It's not even funny. Yeah. Everybody in the group chat should be doing one of those group meditations because that's what Saturn in Aquarius is going to give us a lot of. Sending you good healing vibes. I've got Amy, Paula, Miss V, and Janae. Yeah, it's going to be peaceful. You're going to see the move closer to the beginning of April. April all the way through July, it's a new space. Okay. Well, secret admirers happen with that 12th house to the sun transit. All right, so let's see. Amy, let me pull up Amy. Keep us updated, Rome. I'm sure I will see you in the chat. Amy A. There we go. All right, November 1774. Kirkland, Washington. home of the original Costco. I know that because I've been there a couple times. I'm interested in seeing if romance is on the horizon. I divorced a year and a half ago, and I have taken time to be by myself, enjoying peace, feeling ready to date again, or is it better to not date at this time? Thanks for the reading. Okay, so I just noticed that you said you typed your birth time in wrong. 11:49 p.m. Let me change it. It's not going to change much, but I'll change it. Of course I've been to Kirkland. I had to see the original Costco. Are you kidding me? I love Costco. 11:49. Let me change that. My good friend and my old assistant lives there. So, all right. So let's pull this up again. Oh wait, this one. There we go. I have been there. You can catch me outside eating a Kirkland hot dog or a rotisserie chicken, depending on my mood. Just kidding. Can you imagine just like sitting at the picnic table, just like eating a chicken? It'd be so embarrassing. People would be like, I really like your lip gloss. I'd be like, it's just rotisserie chicken grease. Thanks for asking. Terrible. So terrible. Okay, so let's take a look. So now that we've got the right time, November 1774, this is for you, Amy. So Amy's been divorced now a year and a half. She's been enjoying the peace, but she thinks she's ready to get back into dating. And I would say if that's the conclusion you've come to, I agree with that. Especially considering Mercury has been retrograde in your 5th house of dating and true love. Everybody in the chat's like cracking up. Thank you. I do one live show a week here. You've been going back and forth, right? So Mercury going retrograde over your moon is like, am I ready? Am I not ready? How do I meet people? That Capricorn moon is like, people. And it's been in opposition to your Saturn. So there's probably been a lot of like, do I go out with friends? Do I go out and do creative things? Like, how do I connect to other people? And now that Mercury's gone direct and it's coming into conjunction with Pluto, I've talked to like 2 or 3 Virgo risings today. And I've had like this pep talk with everybody. And I've been like, what do you love? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you love? They're like, I don't know. What do you love? That's the question. So find something that you love doing, which will then there in turn lead to you meeting someone. And I also feel like you're getting more serious about love because you got Venus going through your 7th house. You've got Saturn coming into your 7th house in this next year. And I also see Saturn coming into conjunction with your Juno, which is about partnership and relationship. It'll actually station direct and retrograde on your Juno. That's kind of a big deal. And then Saturn will come into conjunction with Jupiter. So you may actually find that come the beginning of next year, you're very much in a serious relationship. I think. I do. I do. I also see that you're coming into Pluto square Uranus. Okay, so Pluto in the 5th house is like, I don't want to get my heart broken. And then the squares to Uranus is like, I don't want to waste a bunch of time and like needing to communicate with people. Maybe it's a matter of also just like sitting down and talking to people and being like, hey, done the marriage thing, didn't work out, that's okay. Now I know more of what I want, and just kind of being upfront with people. Jupiter rules relationships for you. It's going into Taurus here in May, and it's going to oppose your Mars. And I feel like that's trying to encourage you more to focus on intimacy through communication. And you're an excellent communication type person because you got Mercury and Scorpio conjunct Mars, so you know how to get to the point. I think that you're going to meet people maybe in other places, maybe meeting people on apps or through travel, right? So that's another option. And I would like to see you really doing your due diligence with Saturn in your 7th house to be like, I'm out there, I'm trying, I'm connecting with people. It might feel like a hassle. It might feel like work, right? Saturn sometimes sucks the fun out of things, but I think it's about scheduling dates and just getting back out there. So being like, okay, I'm going to go on a date once a month, or I'm going to make an effort to go out there and try to, connect with people. And you'll really be glad that you did, especially come the time that Saturn is coming into conjunction with Jupiter next year. Oh, and by the way, Saturn's going to square the nodes. So yeah, it's time for a relationship, The reason why the relationship did not work, the last one, is because Jupiter is the traditional ruler. It's at an 8 in the 8th house, square Neptune. You don't have to answer this question. I'm just for sake of learning for me and for other people. Do you feel like there was miscommunications about issues relating to intimacy or money, spending money? Jupiter squared the nodes, plus North Node conjunct Neptune. Was there cultural differences? Was there like secrets that were kept? Secret spending habits, secret relationships? Yeah. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is. The first one was gonna be an L. But the 9th house is your second husband, ruled by Mars. Many secrets kept. And you've got Mars conjunct Mercury. So it means that when you connect with this next person, you're really going to be attracted to their mind and the way that they communicate. And I really like, you know, next year is Saturn's trining your Mercury and your Mars. You're going to be like to the point, you know? So maybe once you've had that last relationship through, like you're not going to hold back and being like, I need clear communication. I need directness. Like I'm not wasting my time. Does that make sense? Yeah. Hopefully that's helpful. But yeah, get out there, meet people. You know, moon in the 5th house. Go out with some of your work colleagues, work friends. Go out after work. Go to a bar after work. Moon in Capricorn in the 5th. Make the effort and be going out there trying to kind of meet people for the sake of being friends too, not necessarily just looking for anyone in particular. Okay? Sending you good vibes as you get back on the horse. Good luck. We've got Paula and then Miss V. Okay, so which Paula is it? March 21st. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have so many people in here. Sometimes I have like 12 Christines. Okay, Paula. Paula says, I didn't want to neuter my cats during the Mars retrograde, so now they're scheduled for February 9th. Is that date okay? I travel the second half of the month and I want to make sure they do okay after it. Well, thank you for not neutering your cats during a Mars retrograde, especially because Mars literally has to do with surgery and male reproductive organs. So good job on that. You want to do this for the 9th. Let's go back a day. There we go. Moon's going to trine Mars. I like it. Sun is in Aquarius. You've got Mercury and Pluto in conjunction, but the moon's not squaring, and it's going to trine your moon. And Mars rules animals for you. So the moon in a trine to Mars, your natal Mars, and also Mars is nice. Did you did you do the astrology on this? Like, did you go and look at the transits and pick this? Do you even need me, Paula? Just wondering. Good job. That's good. That's good election astrology right there. Especially because into the next day on the 10th, the moon is still going to trine Saturn and Mars. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's a good day. No, the vet scheduled it. Interesting. Well, sometimes things happen when they're supposed to happen, you know? You've also got Jupiter that's sitting conjunct your sun, and that is the whole sign connection to the 6th. So yeah, I think it's a good time. I also like Venus conjunct Mercury. And if you're traveling the second half of the month, I don't foresee there being any problems. Just the one thing that's happening that day is the Mercury-Pluto conjunction. So there may be a sense of, in some certain situations, needing to sign difficult documents. So they might be like, do you want your, animals to be resuscitated? Or we're not responsible for X, Y, and Z. Like, you're going to have an experience like that. But I'm not seeing any difficult Mars transits. Good job on waiting. I think it's fine. And if you're scheduled to be traveling the second half of the month, that's great. That's great. It's not a bad move. You're going to see Mars continue to keep coming into trines with Mercury. So Mercury and Mars working together. Yeah, it's fine for you to be traveling. I don't see any issues. Jupiter's on your sun, so that's what's going to happen. And you're probably going to see some more traveling come up again later this spring, right? When you see like April, May, planets going through Taurus, it's going to trine your moon. It's going to trine Pluto. So I wonder if you're doing something then as well. But yeah, I don't think I could have picked a better time to do the surgery. You have two cats. Cats are more going to be the sun. So Jupiter on the sun, trines to the sun. Yeah, you're good. We're not going to have any issues there. 2 cats. Nice. Yeah, I think it's fine. There's no issues. Uranus is direct. It's no longer in direct opposition to your Pluto. I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to go wrong. Just keep in mind with Mercury and Pluto conjunct, like I don't know if they're going to give the cats sedatives for when they come back, but they might sleep really heavily because it's at a 28. And you might just want to monitor their breathing, but I mean, that's just being a little overly cautious. There's no issues here. You're going to be fine. Hopefully that's helpful. We've got Crystal, Janae, Elizabeth, Juliana. Okay, so Crystal. Miss V. Good luck to your kitties. Let's see. February 1st, 78. There she is. Whew. I like how everybody who's like a Sag/Capricorn rising is like getting a reading all the moons in your 7th house. Not many people know that 7th house is your astrologer. So that's interesting. So this full moon is going to be, in opposition to your sun and your Venus. What's going on there? What is going on there? So the full moon in opposition to your Venus, the sun is on your Venus, something changing about joint resources and values, perhaps. Talking about changes in money and resources. That 8th house full moon is going to square Uranus. Be very, very mindful of like overindulging and having fun right now. It's also going to nail your moon and your natal Uranus. Holy cannoli. So it's going to create a grand fixed cross in your chart. The good news is it's going to make change happen, but the 2nd, 5th, 8th, and 11th is your spending power, taking chances, money that's owed, and then money that gets paid out from work. Anything interesting work going on? Like, did you just start a new job? Are you supposed to be making more money? Are you feeling the crunch to like pay something off? Like, what's going on here? It's an active full moon. So just the moon being in opposition to your Venus, there can be this feeling of being like, that's out of reach. Whether it's like a relationship or it's money, you're just feeling like you need more. Oh, externship right now. Okay. I mean, in opposition to Venus, you're going to have a really good indication after this next week whether or not you really like the job that you're working at. Whether or not it's going to progress into something that's going to pay you, right? But this is very personal because if you think back this entire last year, Saturn's been in conjunction to your sun and your Venus, right? So you have felt this pressure of, how am I going to make money? How am I going to make money? How am I going to make money? I'm developing, new skills so I can have a new profession. That's been like your focus. But it's been in a square to Uranus. So you're like, am I going to like this? Is it going to be fun? Is it going to be exciting enough? And then it's going to it's been squaring your moon and your Uranus. So it's also about adapting to working with new groups, sticking with something, knowing that you're making sacrifices in the long term. So you're going to feel like you have more freedom and more opportunity to enjoy and doing the things that you want to do, right? Yeah, girl, you got all these placements and fixed signs. So this is just encapsulating everything that's gone on for the last couple of years. And maybe it's the full moon that makes you realize this is what's going to stick. I can make money doing this. I'm not going to feel as much of a crunch there is like a light at the end of the tunnel and I'm going to come out the other side. And like, honestly, I can see in this next year, between Jupiter and Uranus going into your 5th house, you're going to have more time for pleasure, have more time for fun, have more time for romance, you know, whatever it is that you want, you'll have that. So this is, I think, maybe the fruit bearing phase. But be careful with the 2nd and the 8th house axis. Like, check your bank accounts, make sure there's nothing scammy going on. Be mindful with borrowing and lending. I would watch that this entire week. Make sure there isn't a bill that you forgot to pay. You're in your Saturn opposition. So you may find like, oh my God, I forgot about this account, or I got a credit card that, you know, has like this annual due and oh, I didn't realize it was there. I didn't get rid of it. Something like that. Borrowing and lending. As you come into your Saturn opposition, she might be feeling like, man, I'm just working because I'm just trying to get ahead and like I owe somebody something, or this bill came in, and you get kind of flustered. That might happen as a result of this full moon. How has, you know, you're also in your Uranus opposition. So now that Uranus is direct, you're getting ready to see Uranus come in opposition to your natal Uranus again. So that's starting for you once it hits 16 degrees. So sometime in March, then you're done. And you have Uranus in a money degree. So it's going to oppose your Uranus again. So changes in preferences, changes with romance, or maybe even taking chances with investments. And then it's going to oppose your moon. You may have a little bit of some squabbles if you have kids with a kid. You may have some squabbles also with like a female friend. That's got to be hard, having moon and Uranus in your 11th house. I mean, obviously you like astrology, but there can be some friction with women. So you might see that kind of pop up a little bit. But that full moon in opposition to Venus, watch for people being like, I need more of this. And you're like, I don't know if I want to share that with you. It could be food. It could be your feelings. It could be your bank account. It could be something like that. Yeah, it's a moon Uranus, trouble with women. Trouble with women. But I think that it's good because it's like liberating you. Like, you're going to see where there's like toxic behavior with women, and you're going to be like, I'm not partaking in that. And you might make like friends with younger people with Uranus going through your 5th house. You might get involved in hobbies and other things that you're just like, I don't have to go and hang out with my friends. I can do my own thing and I can feel like I'm having fun and be fulfilled. Right? So there's that too. But I'm not going to say duck and cover, but I'm going to say just be mindful of Sunday, Monday-ish, you know, like little intense there. If you do end up going out and spending time with other women, just watch for drama, okay? Especially drama over who owes who what, who's paying for what. Like, just advising you, like, if you're going to go out with friends, take cash. Don't wait until there's that moment where everybody has to like put in their card and you're like, I have to pay what? Bring cash with you, right? That's what this is about. It's about your contribution with other people. And also making sure that you're having fun. So if you're in a situation over the weekend where you're like, I don't want to be around these people, you don't have to stay there, especially if it doesn't make you happy and you don't feel fulfilled. But yeah, besides that, once you're done with your Saturn opposition, things are going to get so much easier in March. Saturn comes out of the square with all these placements. You just got to deal with your Uranus opposition. Look into Kundalini. My birthday weekend, of course. Happy belated. So it could be that. Maybe it's about people being like, I want to do something with you. I want to do something with you. And everybody's doing like this tug of war. And then you go out to eat and then people are like, people are being like, kind of like, people might be generous. You're going to have the full moon in your 8th house. You never know. I'm not going to be pessimistic. But you might take note of like who is and is not generous because of the square and the opposition. Might surprise you. Hopefully that's helpful. And happy belated, Miss V. We've got Janae, Elizabeth, Juliana, Madison. Janae, let me see, Gigi. I don't think I have you in here. This might be the part of the show where I have to put some people in. Yeah. We don't have too many people, so let me plug in who I don't have already. So just give me a second, you guys. Janae, this is right, or Gigi. 92888, is that correct? I can't put Gigi. Oh, I can. Okay. I was going to say, whoops. Whoops. 92888. You guys can take a break for a minute. I know Alex is here. Do we still have Alex's info? I didn't forget about you. 747 Washington, D.C. All right, so let's save her chart. Let's see, Madison. Oh, cool, thank you. Do I have Madison? No. Let's see. Oh, thank you. That was a donation. Let's see. So just like making sure, was that a donation or was that an actual reading? I want to make sure I didn't overlook something, but that looks like it was just a donation. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll take a look at that. 12/19/91, Mars opposition, Jupiter, Neptune, transit. Actually wasn't gonna do it. I told myself he said something drive me to it. Okay, I'll come back around. Vanessa, I feel like I have you on here. Let me see, Vanessa. August 26. Nope, different Vanessa. Okay. March 4th, 1990. Vanessa, do you have a specific question? You just want me to tell you about the full moon? 12/21, Temple, Texas. PM. Okay, got that. I think we have SR in here. I'm pretty sure I have Wendy in here. Wendy, yes. SR, yes. Pretty sure I have Marsha. Marsha. Yes. Okay, cool. So a lot of you guys are regulars. Okay, cool. Thank you guys. Appreciate your swiftness. Alex, are you still here? He said, don't forget about me. Did you fall asleep on me? Let me know. I will plug you in. Or Adrian. I keep saying Alex. Adrian. Let me know. Oh, there he is. Send me your info, please. There you go. We were close. Alex, Andres, Adrian. Hi. Oh. I'm a face person. I'm not a name person. Adrian. Thank you. December 25th, 1992. Just like Jesus. (11:15 a.m.) Yes, that was you got that. Good job, Marsha. You get a cookie. What city were you born in, Adrian? Oh my God, it never gets old, like talking to people on the internet, like through chat, you know? San Juan, Puerto Rico. Got it. Okay, hang tight because you're coming up soon. Close enough for me to ask you for this information. Hopefully your soul can hold on just a little bit longer. We have Janae, Elizabeth, Juliana, Adrian. All right. Miss V. Okay, here we go. Gigi. Where are my G's? I swear I'm going to clean these out. There's so many charts in here. But then it's like once they do it, everybody comes back. It's like the craziest thing ever. 9:28:88, 7:47 p.m., Washington, D.C., 29 degrees Aries rising. Whoa, just a general reading for me. This is a full moon conjunct my immediate family members, planets, husbands, kids, parents. Okay, so you got in-laws that are Pluto and Leo. I'm assuming. Well, if it's happening there, I mean, it's in your 5th house, right? So children, drama. I'm thinking more, yeah. The full moon's on your Leo. So you say conjunct my immediate family members, husband. I'm thinking husband and kids, yes, because the full moon is on your Juno. That's your partner in your 5th house of children. And it's in a square to your natal moon, right? And it's also in a square to, obviously, the sun, duh. So it's going to have you a little bit kind of in your feelings a little bit more than usual. You're going to be like, it's not just about my comfort. It's about other people. It's about my kids. It's about my partner. It's about my friends. So you're going to kind of feel the squish a little bit. I also kind of feel like the 5th house can be really fun and playful and creative. So it's like, what do you do in that situation where there's just pressure? Like, where do you learn to just be like, okay, you know, there's going to be some drama, but do we have fun? Do we diffuse this? Do we play a game? Do we dance, create, whatever, right? And so actually for Aries risings, it's easier energy to deal with because it's all going to trine out through your ascendant. And it's also going to trine out through your Sag. So you got to get active. That's really the lesson here. But a full moon in the 5th house really isn't all that bad. You might realize like, yeah, I think times are tough, but I have my kids. I love my husband, you know, things of that nature. I don't see it being negative. My eyes get bigger, to be honest with you, with Uranus coming into conjunction with your moon, your 4th house lord. So that's going to shake things up in regards to your family and also in regards to your home. You're going to have an eclipse that's going to sit on your ascendant in April. And then you have Jupiter crossing your ascendant. So I look at this and I'm like, between those 3 aspects, and also the fact that you're going to have a Venus retrograde in your 5th later this summer, I'd be more kind of like, I mean, you can get pregnant. There's a lot of pregnancy transits here. Jupiter trine your Venus, Jupiter on your ascendant, right? So it can be traveling, having fun, spending time with your kids, spending time with your family. But I'm like, girl, you got a lot of pregnancy transits coming up here. So that's a thing. And right now, Jupiter is moving through Aries. It's in your 12th house, so there's this sense of feeling that things are coming. And you're like, I have this feeling like something's going to happen. I can't put my finger on it. And then like April, May, June is going to happen. And it's going to be like, wham. A lot of the things that you were feeling are going to show up. You were born with Sun in opposition to Mars, so you're used to being like, I solve other people's problems. I show up for other people. But as Jupiter's coming through your sign, it's opposing all of this. So you're realizing like you can't overly extend yourself for others all the time. And similar to kind of roam, a little bit more rest and recuperation until you're getting into April when things become more visible, right? I would really recommend start learning about Uranus coming into conjunction with your moon because your intuition's going to peak up. There can be sudden opportunities for change, like I said, with your home, but also with your finances. And it'll sit on your moon, and then you're going to see Jupiter show up there next year. So you're going to be a little bit more emotionally restless or anxious, or you might find it more difficult to deal with females in the home. So, you know, mother figures, you know, you and how you respond as a mother, especially because it's going to square your Venus. So it's going to be about how you respond to children, how you're responding to playtime, how you're responding to creativity. Venus is the ruler of the 7th house. So I feel like it's also about shaking things up a little bit. It's not just about what you're doing for the kids. It's also what are you and your husband doing together. It's also what are you doing for yourself, and listening to your emotional instincts and redefining yourself, your appearance maybe even, you know, what you're doing creatively. There's a lot going on. Trust me on this. April, May, June. There's a lot going on in this chart. So right now it's kind of like the calm before the storm. And Aries has to initiate something. So mark the 18th through 22nd of April on your calendar. That eclipse is going to kind of kick a lot of this stuff off. And it's in opposition to Mercury. So it's about you being like, I can't fix everything. I don't always have time for everything. I can't be party coordinator. And you're going to realize that. Very, very activated chart right now. Jupiter's lighting everything up. Big time, big time, big time, big time. But I would not worry about how it's impacting people. If anything, I think it's going to be more pertaining to your husband, right? And so a full moon in your 5th house, it might be a romantic gesture from your husband, right? Because Venus is in Pisces right now. So it may also be that you say, okay, we're going to go and do the stuff that we have to do for the kids and this, that, and the other, but then there's going to be time for us. Venus is in a trine to your Pluto after all. So maybe it's a matter of like having conversations with like friends and things like that. And like being like, yeah, maybe it is about, you know, arranging playtime for the kids with like mutual friends. So like you guys can have time too. I like a full moon in the 5th. I do. But this is going to be something that pertains more to your husband. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Let's see, who else do we have? Elizabeth Martinez. Here we go. What's up, Elizabeth? Are you still here? Elizabeth is 11/14/84. St. Paul. Madison says, Aries always find a way. Yes. Good luck. Okay, so this is for Miss Martinez. What's up, girl? Hi, Candace. Anything important you see coming up? Thank you. Yeah. How about Pluto conjunct your Mars? What the hell are you doing with that energy? That's kind of a big one. So Pluto rules obviously power, but it's also how you're wielding your power and how you're asserting yourself, especially professionally, or how you're asserting yourself in regards to your goals. Pluto's going to hit 29. It's going to sit on your Mars. And Mars rules your 3rd house of communication, but whole sign it's your 4th. So I look at this and I'm like, is there some squabbles going on currently in regards to contracts, neighbors, like parking situations? Has there been some tension with any siblings? Has there been a bunch of back and forth conversation with family about how to handle things or how things need to be managed within the household? Anything like that going on? The conjunction is the strongest aspect in astrology. So the fact that it's coming into conjunction with Mars makes me feel like there's going to be like this trend of you needing to be a little bit more, I would say, not direct. I mean, you may feel like really intense. Like there may be this sense of you like communicating much more intensely with people around you. You're going to start picking up on things intuitively a lot more. And it's a very highly aspected Pluto transit, because if you notice, Pluto conjunct Mars is going to bring up some power struggles, especially stuff within your body. You got to be mindful of like being in vehicles, texting and driving. No, you shouldn't be doing it, but really not with this transit. You may be more predisposed to also injuring muscles or needing surgery. So be very careful with that. But you're also going to have Pluto oppose your moon and also square Pluto. So you're born with moon square Pluto. So the challenge is revolving around relationships with others and power struggles, especially women. And here comes Pluto opening up to the first square with Pluto and opposing your moon. So this will also bring up like challenges in regards to relationships with other people and like whether or not you guys see eye to eye about certain things. That could be like legal things. Like, is there anything going on with family? I know I haven't seen you here, but I mean, it makes me wonder if there's like some legal stuff that's going to start with family in regards to like property. And I know this sounds kind of crazy, but you just might see something like this happen. Oh, there she is. Yes, I've been doing that lately. Lots of going back and forth with communication. So Pluto's going to make you kind of want to put your foot down and like wield your power differently and be like, I'm manning this. I'm controlling this. And then over the summer, the nodes are going to square. And you have Uranus coming into an opposition with your sun. So you're going to find that it's more difficult dealing with men, male figures, family members, father figures, things like that. Okay, good. Fingers crossed. Pay attention to where you feel like you need to be more assertive. I would say you really need an outlet for all that Mars energy. So I would recommend like Kundalini yoga. I would also say like light weightlifting. Stuff that's going to give you that outlet for Mars, you know. Hiking, upward incline, that'll be helpful as well. Pluto square Pluto, you go into that in your late 30s, early 40s, where you decide what you're keeping and what you're letting go of. Pluto opposed the moon, where there's some threatening or difficult challenges in regards to home or women. And Pluto in conjunction to Mars, it's about defining your power and learning how to use it in a different way. Those are three very big transits all at one time. Thankfully, Saturn is coming out of a square with your Saturn and your Sun. So I think now it's about kind of defining life on your own terms. And I'm really curious to see what happens as Uranus comes to 22 degrees. You might find that you're deciding to live somewhere differently. Maybe you're trying to start your own business. You're working from home. Maybe you're getting involved more with like property or even real estate, or just really dramatic changes revolving around work and home. That's kind of what's coming. It can be also that this is on the heels of like parents retiring and things like that within the family. That could be the other change that's getting ready to set up. And last but not least, Saturn is coming into a square right now. So Saturn's in your first house saying, how am I asserting myself more, being more clear with my boundaries, being mindful of my time, my needs, squaring the nodes. So it's a really important time to be focusing on self-esteem, you know? As Saturn is leaving your whole sign, second house, financial things kind of lighten up a little bit, but there is a need to really focus on maintaining healthy self-esteem. It's a lot of transits you've had over this last year. Saturn is enough, but Pluto at the same time, my goodness. Been going back and forth with my child's father when it comes to communication. Lots of back and forth communication has been great lately. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Be very, very, very mindful of contracts, traveling, driving, things like that, because the Pluto-Mars stuff is going to light up your third house, okay? Oh, communication hasn't been great. It may come down to documents and paperwork, because Mars is going to say, okay, we need a solution. We need an action plan. So if it goes to a point where you guys can't agree on things, it might materialize as being like, we need to have something set in writing, or we need to actually have a formal agreement. That may be how this manifests. And that might be a better solution. So you're not feeling like you're constantly going through the motions, having to talk to somebody about something. You get what I'm saying? So you can just be like, we're referring to this piece of paper. I'm not going to go back and forth with you and do this over and over and argue with this. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Stick to your guns. Find an outlet for that Pluto energy. Self-defense, kickboxing, that stuff can be good too. But I think hiking or weightlifting is probably best for Capricorn. Okay. Let's see. Let's do... so I don't forget anybody. Here we go. We'll do Adrian. Is he alive? December 25th, 1992, 11:15 a.m., San Juan, Puerto Rico. Pisces rising, Sun in Capricorn, Moon in Capricorn. There he is. You're welcome, Elizabeth. Anything in particular other than your soul? Your Saturn return's wrapping up. Saturn's finally leaving the conjunction to your Venus. Venus is crossing your ascendant soon, so that's going to bring you some, that's going to bring in some love, right? Take a nice picture of yourself. Take a picture of yourself. I mean, maybe you're feeling a little like separate from others. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Starting new jobs and following my passions. I like it. I mean, listen, there's a lot of 12th house energy right now, right? You're not a Pisces sun, but you're a Pisces rising. So as planets are going through your 12th house, there's this sense of things kind of wrapping up. And if you're dating, Venus on the ascendant might bring in a lot of attention, especially around the 7th. But I'd like to see you do something like, let's see. Well, I like the energy around the 12th and the 13th too. That can be really great for romance and intimacy and that kind of stuff. Maybe when the Venus-Neptune conjunction's taking place, I would take a picture. Take a picture. February 15th, 16th, take some new pictures of yourself. They're going to be really great with Venus and Neptune on your ascendant. When you talk about following your passion, what you love, that's wonderful. The Sun-Saturn conjunction taking place is also about really committing to your goals, even if you're doing it behind the scenes. Have you been studying astrology? Saturn and Venus in the 12th? Trine Jupiter? I could see that. And it's going to be really nice to get all of these squares like off of your natal Saturn placements and out of the squares with Pluto. You know, I think you're going to be feeling a lot better the second half of February, honestly. The other thing is, you know, the Mars retrograde's been kind of gnarly here. Oh, you've been studying tarot? Okay, cool. That stuff's really great. Like whatever you've been picking up, it's about what you're doing spiritually that you've been practicing behind the scenes, right? But I noticed with Mars has been going back and forth over your IC, squaring Neptune. So it's a lot of like, where do I want to live? How do I want to live? What's going on in my personal life? And like feeling really inspired with all that Pisces, but also feeling like you need your own space, right? So that's been a bigger part of like retrogrades and eclipses that are getting reactivated. And I wonder when Mars comes back into your 4th house, if there is a sense of being like, maybe I am moving somewhere, maybe I am making a change, especially right around the beginning of March. So I don't know if you've been back and forth with if you move, where you want to move, if you've been going back and forth between 2 homes. That's going to come up again at the beginning of March, and then it's going to kind of ease up a little bit. Your Saturn return is ending, even though you have 1 more year of Saturn in Pisces. So I think that the Saturn in Pisces is going to be more about joining collective groups of people who have similar goals, especially if you're like wanting to align yourself with like artists or people who are self-employed or people who are entrepreneurs. All that Capricorn energy really needs an outlet. Like it needs to belong to a group. And I think with Saturn and Pisces is like people who might be spiritualists or they might be involved in art, design, photography, like, you know, graphics and things like that. So you might start connecting with other people who do that kind of work. And you'll feel Saturn going into Pisces, but it's not going to sit on your ascendant until next year. So there's this sense of like wanting to fully define yourself before you get to 2024. And you're like, this is what I've created. This is what I'm doing, you know? How is the Saturn transit in your 12th house with Saturn and Ceres and Venus? Was there a story of loving somebody and losing somebody, or loving somebody and having to let them go? Or was there a sense of like it not being mutual? Like you were in love with somebody, but you guys remained friends, or that person like went away, or they disconnected from you, or somebody who kind of fell off and it was like disappointing, sort of ghosted. Okay. Yeah, it was the Venus-Saturn stuff. So, you know, that's pretty much done. Now that you're going to see Saturn moving into some nicer territory, now that you're going to see Venus go into your sign, and then right around the time that it's coming into your 2nd house, what I like about April, May is I think this is going to be a time where you're probably going to start seeing like physical manifestations of some of the hard work that you've been doing. So you might make more money. Physically, you're going to see that there's going to be changes going on with your income. That's all going to be trining out to your Capricorn. So what I love about Jupiter going into Taurus, the North Node in Taurus, more Taurus eclipses, is that for a Capricorn, it's like, I am abundant, I am creative, I am having fun, I can make money through art, I can make money, you know, being self-employed, I can enjoy what I'm doing. But it's been as a result of things that you've been, you know, working on silently in the background, right?
he says, also from the gym. Well, that's good. You know, Capricorns, they need routine. And my goodness, you got a lot of Cap energy. You got a lot of Saturn energy. A lot of the people born like the late 80s and the early 90s with like those Capricorn stelliums, Aquarius stelliums, it's like we haven't gotten a break. And when I look at where some of these transits are going now you're going to realize like there was a purpose for all of the things that have happened over the last 2 or 3 years, which actually a chart like this really thrives in the midst of having lots of separation, because it was meant to kind of give you perspective. So whether that's separation from friends, separation from romantic partners, like whatever it is, it was meant to give you that alone time for perspective. You know, I'm over it too. I'm so over it. But it's going to be worth it. You know, it feels like an extended Saturn return, honestly. So it's going to be so much easier having Pisces change signs. Just keep in the back of your mind, Saturn change signs, excuse me. Keep in the back of your mind that it's all about the grand reveal next year. So there's this sense of it taking a little bit more time before you're really ready to show what you've been working on. But it looks like it's going to be worth it. Good luck. I hope you find a place. Don't make any major decisions until closer to mid-March, okay? And if you're asking about exes, yeah, no. Mercury's still in opposition to Mars. That's not happening. There isn't going to be much connection there with Mars in opposition to Mercury square the sun. Not right now. But maybe you'll hear more in the summertime. I would say look at like July and August. I want to move to Spain. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Part of the Saturn transit in the 12th house is like, do I want to go to a foreign place? I could see that. But Mars is square Neptune, so you can't really make that decision until after March, you know? But you'll have an opportunity to look at moving closer to May. Hopefully that's helpful. We got Juliana, Vanessa, SR, Wendy, Marsha. We're getting there, guys. Juliana. Okay, let's see, because I know we saved this, right? Because I don't have her info. Are you here, Juliana? Let me know. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let me see. I don't think I have her, but yeah, no. Perfect. There she is. Do you have a particular question for me? August 5th, 79. 8:20 a.m. Speak my mind. That's a dangerous thing. Well, you got a full moon that's coming into conjunction with your sun in the 12th house. Thank you. I mean, a full moon in conjunction to your sun is a pretty significant thing, especially looking at your chart, right? You got sun in the 12th house. It's about hidden talent. Jupiter there, being very private, but also very tapped in. I like all of that energy because it makes me feel like you're very creative, you're very dramatic, you're very, it could be romantic in the 12th house. It could also be a sense of just like a really talented artist, but it's kind of private. But I'm looking at Uranus on your midheaven, and you're in your Uranus opposition, and then here comes this full moon that's just lighting your chart up like a Christmas tree. It's hitting your sun, Uranus, and also your midheaven. So it's a bit of a turning point where there's this feeling of changes in terms of how you communicate, changes in your daily routine, changes with work. The full moon in itself is in the 12th house, so it's something that's very personal to you.
And it might prompt, because the sun and Jupiter, it's right on your sun-Jupiter midpoint, it might prompt some sense of like inspiration, or there being an opportunity for like a romantic vision or a romantic affair or something with somebody behind the scenes. And it's all going to trine out to your Neptune. So I'm wondering what this is, right? Like, have a ritual or a routine right before you go to sleep on Saturday night, tomorrow. That's my advice. Like, light a candle, sit, meditate, work with the element of fire, because it might bring in something very significant that you need in terms of guidance moving into the future, right? Because that Sun-Jupiter midpoint is like knowledge, where you expand, where you unfold, or maybe you're seeing visions of things in the future. You know, make a point to be creative at night. Do something creative tomorrow. But it can also be super romantic. That's the other way that I look at it. And while the full moon is happening, Venus is still in conjunction to the South Node. So it's like, I've known a number of these people who are Leo risings, 12th house Leo stelliums. And I always tell you guys, you are so lovable. You guys are so needed in the world, but sometimes you guys run around with like this little bubble around you, and you're not aware that you can sometimes unintentionally keep people from being able to get close to you. So you can sometimes be your own worst enemy, as much as I hate to say that. So there is a need to like get outside of your comfort zone, to like really put yourself out there, to be willing to shine and not feel like you need to hide away. It's kind of unusual to see like all that solar energy in the 12th house, because it tells me that there is a sense of being cautious with who you shine your light around. But when you have a full moon like this, that's like highlighting it. It's basically saying you might have a creative outburst where you need to share, create, dance, play. You'll write something. You might feel like it's electrifying also, because it's going to be in the midst of Uranus opposed Uranus, square your sun, right? And the 12th house is also like karma. So it can be things that we have not like finished up or wrapped up. So it might mean in regards to relationship with men. It can mean with foreign men. It can also mean with creative partners. It can also be, you know, secret admirers, crushes, things like that in the 12th house. From what I've seen recently is that there's been a real focus for some of these people with a lot of Leo sun, Leo rising type energy in like changing your habits, changing your routines as the sun is going through the 6th house. And like learning to be like, I got to put an end to, you know, certain relationships or certain bad habits or certain work habits in order to be able to like fully move forward, you know? Throughout this next year, you're going to see Saturn sit on your South Node. So Saturn is now it's staying in your second house, in your 7th house for 2 years, but it's heading for your South Node. So that's telling me that, okay, on the heels of your Saturn opposed Saturn, it's am I afraid of asking for more? Am I afraid of intimacy? Am I afraid of being seen? Am I afraid of merging with another person, right? So it's also highlighting a lot of these themes right now. So this can be like this moment over the next couple of days where you're like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm just afraid of being seen. Maybe I don't want somebody to potentially know everything about me. And maybe by doing that, you know, I'm kind of keeping myself shielded from the world. Saturn opposed Saturn will be interesting because you have North Node Saturn conjunct together. And it's still going to be loud for a little bit. You've got Uranus coming back into your 10th house. It's going to shake up career stuff. You got Saturn going into the 7th. Some Leo risings are like, I'm done with a relationship. I'm moving forward and I'm identifying differently in the world. And whether you're cutting a business partner or a romantic partner or a friendship, that's impacting and helping you focus more on your public reputation. And my goodness, what a fun time to be a Leo rising, watching Uranus and Jupiter heading for your midheaven. It's going to be a period where if you're really willing, especially this summer, to work with some of your creative talent and be willing to put that out into the world, it can be a very successful next year ahead or so, even then some, when it comes to your career. And it's going to be about stepping out of the shadows and into the light and letting people see some of your creative ideas and things that maybe you kind of keep to yourself. Yeah. Leo is the performer, right? They are the person at the talent show that says, look at me. When you put all that Leo, which is very talented in the 12th house, they're like, I don't want to show everybody my paintings, you know? I don't want to ever release my movie. Like, I don't want anybody to read my book. Venus is the ruler of your 10th house and it's in the 12th. So I can see you're very talented. It could be in acting, it could be in performing, it could be in art, it could be design, right? I wonder if film is somewhere in there, or photography, because your sun is at a 12 and you have Venus at a 6, but that tells me that you're a perfectionist. And there is a sense of you being like, it's never, ever really ready. It's not ready yet. I don't want to share it. It's not good enough, you know? And so I think that it's about, and you'll see this more, like you're really going to see this actually in June and July, that it's time to kind of share some of this stuff with the world. And it's going to give you the breakthroughs that you're looking for in the 7th house of support, and the breakthroughs that you're looking in terms of your career. Yeah, you're a perfectionist. You have Mercury conjunct Venus. And I think most artists would be like, oh, it's never done, you know? But I think that if you're always like looking at that, like tweaking it, it just never makes its way out into the world. And so I think that part of the lesson for you is learning to release things, like letting it be, right? And I love that you have Sun conjunct Jupiter, because I feel like you're extremely talented. Maybe depending on like what your, whatever your particular type of, you know, creative expression is, doing it under an alias, because you have all that 12th house. So if you write books, you know, have a pen name. If you want to create content, you don't have to share your face. If you know, want to be able to put out a story, you can put it out, but nobody has to see you. You're doing it like more in a private way. Does that make sense? Unless you're like an actor and you're, you know, you have to be seen. I would say there's a lot you can do by creating a fictional character, right? Remember, Leo likes to dress up. So all those planets in the 12th house is it wants to be a character. So create a character. That can be your, you know, your alter ego. Good luck. Hopefully that's helpful. You'll see. You're going to end up doing that stuff over the summertime. Yeah, super talented. Don't waste all that. Don't waste all those planets in Leo, please. Don't. It's really, really good. I'm just wondering, are you a painter, an actress, or do you do like animation, or do you do design? Any of those things? Just curious. And I know, Madison, you made a donation and you said you don't have the funds right now, but just thinking about some of your astrology with all that Sag and the Mars opposition and the square to Neptune, you're going to find that like the next 2 or 3 months is like trying to create more of a zen zone within your home, and trying to feel like you're creating more peace at home, whether you're creating a space for meditation or creativity or something that's going to like make you feel like it's more peaceful. Dealing with roots, things in regards to family, you know, either finding home, figuring out home, or dealing with mom-related things. That's going to keep coming up for you, and you may want to consider like feng shuiing your space. Right? So just food for thought, just for your generosity. Juliana says, I should have been an actress, but I couldn't do it. Well, better late than never. The sacrifices you make for your kids, all that Leo in the 12th house, but it doesn't have to be so. Pluto's going into Aquarius, and it's going to be in your 6th house the next few years, so it's just making the time. Yeah, that's Saturn, Neptune going into your 4th house. So I would say water elements, vibration, bio frequencies. What are those things called? I'm having like a total brain fart. Where is it where they have like the vibration music? You guys know what I'm talking about. That would be good stuff for your mom, Madison, in the home. And like incense and like monk chants and things, because it's very Pisces. Hopefully she's doing better. I have Vanessa, SR, Wendy, and Marsha. Binaural beats, thank you. Occasionally somebody who's just kind of hanging out watching, they'll just sneak in. All right, so let's look at Vanessa. Okay. There she is. What's up, girl? March 4th, 1990, 12:21. Gemini rising. Your sun is in Pisces. Your moon is in Gemini. Here comes Saturn. Okay, doing its thing. Coming into conjunction with your Mercury pretty soon. Do you have a particular question for me? We can talk about the full moon, which is on your south node, which is a bit of a doozy, honestly. That's like a clearing. You're getting ready to go through a clearing, a communication clearing. So it's about letting something go, clearing the air, frustration even. Mars is coming back into conjunction with your moon soon. So you're going to feel a little agitated as that conjunction is coming back. Maybe you felt a little restless. We've got Pluto coming into conjunction with your Venus. Oh. Getting really serious and passionate about something, or feeling like you're losing yourself in something. Starting a new job, should I take it? Well, Pluto is the ruler of your 6th house of workspace. It's going to conjunct your Venus, and you got Saturn that's going to hit your Mercury and go into the 10th. So yes, you're going to start a new job one way or the other, right? I don't want to regret my decision. I've been at my current job now. Yeah, but you have it across the board. Like, something's coming. The thing that's interesting is with Saturn going into Pisces for a Gemini rising, it's going to hit your Mercury. That's your chart ruler. So all this next year, you're going to have an opportunity for growth, but you're supposed to be in a superior position, a management position, or you're supposed to be in a position where you're like, you know, responsible for other people, or you're running something, or like you're kind of like the boss. Like you need to have superior, you know, oversight. And you're a 10th house sun. So even though you're a Pisces, you're like, I don't know how to navigate having all this responsibility. Saturn's going to come in and it's going to go, yes, you do. And you're going to get better pay for it. You're going to get better benefits. And it's about also learning your worth and making sure that the people who you're working for making money, that they're scratching your back as well. So the Pluto-Venus transit, the Saturn in the 10th, the Saturn conjunct Mercury, the Saturn conjunct the sun, right? I do think you'll take a new job. I would say with Mercury coming in conjunction with Saturn, it's difficult for you to make, it's difficult for you to make up your mind. But I think that you're going to make a snap decision, and you're going to have to give somebody a decision when Mercury comes into conjunction with Mars, like literally within the next week or so. I say do it. Personally, I feel like do it. It's just with Venus and Neptune square your moon, you're like, is it going to be okay? Yeah. You're going to have to make a change one way or the other. That's the thing. So if you wait, you don't want to feel like you waited around and you missed a chance opportunity to like potentially score what could have been a job that was going to value you more. Okay? Because you may be back in the situation down the road. There you go. You're going to make the decision. When Mercury conjuncts Mars, literally in this next week, you're going to be like, okay, I'm firing off that email. I think it'll be really good. And you have Neptune is the ruler of your 10th house. You got Neptune technically in the 7th. What do you do? Do you do like PR? Manage people? No better time to get serious about work stuff than when Saturn's in the 10th or when Saturn's in conjunction to your sun, and you're going to have both of these things happening this year and next year. You know, this might actually very well be the thing that's really going to set you up. I work in government, job stable, not management. Okay. Yeah, do it. I mean, Saturn can be about that. Yeah, sure. Many managers, coworkers say, but I know someone. Yeah. I think that it's a good time to make the jump. If you decide not to do it, then what's going to happen is when Saturn goes retrograde over your Mercury, you're still going to make a move. So another option is you have more earning potential in May, June. I think you'll take that job. I'm going to keep saying that. And then you also have another opportunity when the sun comes in at trine Saturn, which will be in July. Yeah. I mean, if you're working in a job that's stable, in this economy, are you kidding me? And it also has benefits, and you're going to make more money. And you're going to have a potential to also go up in ranks more. It's kind of a no-brainer, you know? Yeah, I say do it. Pull the trigger. Send the email. Look into Pluto coming into conjunction with your Venus, because I do think that you're definitely going to learn a lot about the legal system. There's going to be lots of changes in training and procedures and all of those things, but you know, it'll be fine. Good luck. Congrats. That's a good thing. Moving on up. We got SR. Let's see. There we go. Hi, CM. Now living in Sydney. Holy moly, I feel like I'm being squeezed. Can you tell me what's going on, when things will get better in relation to work? I need magic with finances. Been applying for jobs, looking to change the travel industry. Nothing seems to be budging. Do you see communication for Mr. Aqua? Had a health scare, have scans, etc. booked, but I feel okay now. It might be a lymphatic thing. Feeling the squeeze. Any insights appreciated? Well, that seems like a lot. The health stuff is Saturn coming into a square with your nodes. Time is 10:20 a.m. That's what I have. Is it different because of the time zones? Are you always a Cancer rising? Sometimes for some people, I've noticed this. I have 2-degree Pisces, Cancer rising. But yeah, I have 10:20 a.m. So let me know. But what you're feeling is the square to your nodes. Okay, cool. So here comes Saturn, right? And it's going to hit your Mars. The Saturn-Mars conjunction can literally be about issues in regards to, yeah, the lymphatic system for sure. But it can also be your immune system. It can also be inflammation. So Saturn hitting Mars can be challenging, but you got your North Node in the 6th of health. And so whenever Saturn is within a few degrees of that square, you're going to feel it. Are you going to like a university hospital, or are you going to like a St. Mary's type of hospital vibe? Because you got Saturn coming into conjunction with Mars in the 9th. I would say if somebody makes a recommendation in terms of scans and things, that's fine. Even x-rays, that's fine. But like, be very careful with surgery. If for whatever reason surgical things come up with a Saturn-Mars conjunction, square the nodes, I would say be very cautious about making any major moves on anything, you know? But also the feet, Pisces is the feet. Okay, all right. It's fine if you go and get things checked out. You're probably going to feel the squeeze the most right around the new moon in Pisces. It'll be at 1 degree, right conjunct your Mars, ruler of your 6th house. So right around like the 19th until Saturn passes your Mars. So that's going to be right around mid-March. Yeah, your feet. There you go. So here's my recommendation for Mars in Pisces. You need to go and find somebody who does foot reflexology. You need to consider going and finding an Eastern doctor who does acupuncture, you know? No, it's just for her needle. And I would say like foot detoxes. They have like those foot soaks, those ionizer foot soaks. And I would be looking at doing like a heavy metal cleanse, because Saturn is limiting, right? Mars can be metals and it's through your feet. So go and see if you can find one of those like med spas that'll soak your feet. It's gross, like the water turns black, but I think that's what you need to do. And anything that's going to be about getting heavy metals out of your body. That's what's going on. Where's your natal Mars? There. Where's transit Mars? It's going to cross your ascendant and trine that. Or potatoes? Sure. Yeah. You know what's good for heavy metal cleanse that's like cheap is activated charcoal. I didn't know that until recently. Activated charcoal. But I would say even when Saturn retrogrades, because Saturn's going to retrograde later in the year, it'll come into a square again. So when Saturn goes retrograde, or like, for example, when Mars enters Virgo, you might see this kind of peak up a little bit again because you're going to have a Mars-Saturn opposition. So this will be July. Yeah, right around mid-July. And then October when Saturn squares your nodes again, okay? And it's literally about like dealing with medical treatments in a foreign place, but it can be about adapting and using treatments that come from other places than where you're from. That's a good idea, emotional pain chart, because you got Mars in Pisces. Yep, and you got Mars trine your ascendant. So by the time you get into Scorpio season, I think you're gonna have it worked out when you have an exalted Mars in Scorpio. But I think it's something connected to emotions, right? Mars inflammation in the body in Pisces, moving it through your feet. But if you find a good reflexologist, or if you can find a really good acupuncturist, yeah, you'll be great. Sending you healing vibes. Keep us updated. And you're going to feel the pressure release. Don't worry, Jupiter's coming into your sign. So it's going to cross your sun. So you're going to kind of get your groove back, but it's also going to hit your Chiron. So it's about, how can I learn about healing modalities and how to work on myself through groups of other people? So maybe like go and join like a healing workshop. That might be good. Hands-on healing, something also in regards to like cranial sacred healing, like working with like the head and like the various energy points in the body. Your sun is my moon. We're buddies. Okay, we got Wendy and Marsha. Wendy. What's going on, Wendy? Let's see. Full moon reading, relationship. All right, you got it. Well, full moon on your Venus. Girl, I want the details. You have a full moon on your Venus and it's in opposition to Juno? Did you meet someone? What? I like this for you. I like it a lot. I mean, I really feel like with Jupiter coming into a trine with your Venus, you did, Wendy met someone, Jupiter coming into a trine with your Venus, full moon on your Venus, that's going to be some like really sweet romantic communication, phone calls, texts, things like that. And the square to Uranus is, I think it's kind of being like, where the hell did this come from? Who is this person? You might still feel like a little suspicious because Mercury is still coming out of shadow in your 8th house. So you're like, what's the connection here? What's happening? But I like this. I also feel like this is Jupiter coming into a trine with Venus, and it's also going to start coming into a square with your sun. So it's helping you get your groove back. It's making you feel wanted, right? It's making you feel also like you are worthy. The Jupiter Sun square can really help you feel, yeah, like you're gaining confidence back. Work's been busy. It's going to continue to be busy. It'll be like that for the next month. But in regards to relationships, you're going to see lots more opportunity to spend time with somebody, spend time with friends, and start integrating possible connections romantically with your social group. Maybe you're hanging out with their friends. Maybe you introduce them to your friends, right? You'll see this more when like Venus and Jupiter and the Sun are in your 11th house, which is fun with others. But it's also about you taking initiative to be like, hey, you know, I'm gonna organize a group and we're all gonna go out to dinner, or I'm gonna throw a party. It's something that you're initiating. But I like Jupiter coming into a square with your sun and your moon, because I feel like this is you realizing like you have big goals and you have an opportunity to get more active and socialize with people. And that's what's going to help unite you with others. So you may play matchmaker too, but I mean, a full moon on your Venus is like chef's kiss of astrology. And it's right on top of your Mercury too. So today, through like, let's say maybe Monday, I'm curious like how people communicate with you and like how loving and generous people can be. Great for contracts for you as well. Even though it squares Uranus, you might be like, wow, okay, that turned out a lot better than I thought. Or like I sold somebody on this thing and I didn't anticipate that that was going to happen. And I also feel like it's setting you up as Venus is coming into conjunction with Jupiter to kind of realize like that love can, like the pace of a relationship doesn't have to be slow and stagnant and hidden. It can just pick up very quickly. But I have a strong feeling that the full moon on your Venus and your Mercury is going to produce somebody being like, I love you, or like, I love this about you. You have parties at a time with two different people. Great. It's going to be like this all the way through May. It's going to be through May. And I'm really thrilled to see Mars coming into a conjunction with Jupiter, because it could be like a really kind of sexy rendezvous with someone. So there can be an opportunity to be like, let's get away. Second half of February, you know? Like there's going to be a lot more that's going to start kind of peaking up for you over the springtime. And you deserve it because you work so hard, and like you don't get a break for the next 2 years because Saturn's going to continue to go through your 10th house, you know? But I think that's where it's like all the hard work is really kind of finally showing you like the vision that you had for your career is finally fully manifesting. And it's going to trine your sun. So yeah, work and play. But you'll have to let me know. Leave a comment on this. I'm curious to see like what like little love note you get with that full moon. Good luck. We'll chat soon. I got last but certainly not the least, Marsha. Let's see. That was the December 18th. There we go. Marsha says, I'm considering a retreat in India. Wow, from December 10th through the 16th, but traveling that far, while exciting, scares the shit out of me. Should I go ahead with this plan? I will have to take 10-year-old son too. Will that be a good idea? From what I remember, and I'm not saying, I mean, we'll look at the date. Mercury's going to be retrograde right around that time. And it'll retrograde from Capricorn to Sag. So let's see, December 10th through the 16th. Maybe you're going to be just shy of it, but I think it's going to be mid-month. Let's look. So 10th through the 16th. Unfortunately, I know these things. I have to look that far into the future. Okay, so the 10th. Okay, so Mercury is going to be getting ready to retrograde. What day does it retrograde? On the 13th. Okay, so kind of halfway through. Thanks, Wendy. I'll see you soon. Well, so you're going to have Venus going through your 8th house, getting ready to go into your 9th. You're going to have your Venus return. Mercury goes retrograde in the 11th house of groups, going deeper and integrating. I like Mercury's trine to your moon. I like Mercury rules your children, and the fact that it's going to go retrograde with the moon makes me wonder, like, you know, I don't see a problem with traveling, okay? I see an issue with like how your kid may potentially respond to some of the food and if there are some tummy or digestional issues. I'll just leave it at that. And that may happen, or just how they're adjusting to like the time zone. I'm gonna just make an assumption. You can let me know if I'm wrong, but like, have you traveled internationally with your son before? You know, does he have a weak stomach? You know, you're gonna have to do all kinds of like, you know, preventative medications and maybe even shots and things before you go to India. I'm not saying that to keep you from going, but I'm just letting you know, right? Just to be mindful, because that might be a bit of an experience. But I also look at this and I go, but it's going to be like right around your birthday and also your Venus return. Oh, okay, weak tummy. See, the thing that I'm seeing here is that literally the day that you're gonna, it's like right in the midst of the retrograde, it's in your 11th house with Mercury retrograde conjunct your moon, which means 3 days into the trip, you're supposed to be going and doing something with the group, and then you're like, oh, my son is sick. And that's okay. Like, just preventatively, just be mindful of what he's eating and that he may have a weak tummy. And if you know that he may not adjust well to eating in a foreign place, or he may not like the food or whatever, I mean, just pack lots of like healthy nutritional things. If you can take stuff like that internationally, I don't know. I remember when I went to the UK for like 3 weeks, I packed a lot of my own food because I knew I wasn't going to like the food there. And then I wasn't gonna be able to eat a lot of the food there because I was on a restricted diet. So I wonder if this is like packing like lots of healthy protein shake powder, or maybe, you know, if you know that there's like granola bars and other things like dried fruit stuff that you can take, supplementary, so you're taking less of a risk of him getting sick. Do I think it's a bad time to travel? No, it's a Mercury retrograde, so double and triple check all your plans, realize that things could change. I think it's also gonna be about how you're adjusting to communication and also getting around in a foreign place. Make sure that you have someone who's going to pick you up. You have, you know, your passports, and you have checks on all of your bags, you know. But Saturn is your chart ruler, and it's going to oppose your moon, which means that you're going to be going through situations where you're having to go and do things on your own and learn to be more self-sufficient and not always feel like you have to rely on other people, right? That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. But still in the midst of the retrograde, it trines your moon. Why not? Why not go? I would say this to anybody who's planning foreign travel in this next year, just to be honest with you, like it may be a good idea to seriously consider travel insurance, or like getting stuff that's refundable. I know that sounds terrible and it can be a little bit more expensive, but we're going to see a lot of changes in this next year in regards to where you can travel, what the requirements for traveling are, if there's new IDs that are going to be necessary, if there's new mandates that are going to be taking place. So just a heads up, okay? Like that could be part of the challenge. Could be. That's what I think. But I say go. If you have the opportunity to go, the transits aren't bad. It's just you may have some changes that are going to happen. And literally for an Aquarius rising, that Mercury retrograde's in your whole sign 12th house. So it's about you going deeper, being in a foreign land, learning more about sacred texts, learning more about meditation. And it's all going to be in a trine to your moon and also a sextile to your Mars. I think that that in itself is probably worth going. Just be prepared. And like I said, I can see that he may have some tummy issues, right? And yeah, facing your fears. Saturn in opposition to the moon is like, you're going to go to another place. It's going to be away from home. I say go. Just be prepared for the Mercury retrograde. And have transportation set up in advance. So you know that somebody's picking you up, they're taking you there. You don't have to worry about trying to find a cab and like all that stuff. So that way it's all set up. And the Mercury retrograde will drop back into Sag. I think you'll make friends on this trip that you might keep for some time, personally, as a Sag sun. And you're going to kind of look at life differently. And if you are a Sag, you know, it's about embracing fears because Mars is going to be in opposition to your Sun square Neptune. So maybe make the decision closer to the end of March, beginning of April, when you're feeling a little bit more like, yes, I can do it, you know? That's what I would advise you to do. Sometimes traveling and getting into another country and getting out of your comfort zone is like really good. You learn a lot about yourself when you're in a completely different place. You don't know the currency, you don't know the language, you just have to figure it out. And that's really good for you as a Sagittarius. It's really good, actually. You're going to learn a lot more about this with Saturn moving into Pisces. And yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Let me just do this really quick before I finish too. I want to pull up Catherine's chart because I always miss her, and I will make sure I tag this. Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? Catherine. No, you know what? I'll just send it to her because I'm not going to make her listen to this whole thing. I'll send her an email. So if you're still watching this, Catherine, I'll send it to you. Or just let me know your question because I don't want to talk about your chart unless I know what you want. Hopefully that's helpful. That was a long evening, but it was fun. I hope you guys are having fun this weekend. You're going to do something good for the new moon. You have a good time.
Thank you guys. Oh my God. You guys want to see my dog's matching hoodie? This is so ridiculous. I can't believe my husband's doing this. Come here. Look at how cute he is. Hey, buddy. Say hi to the internet. Say hi. I will see all of you guys tomorrow on Sunday. We're going to have a new astro weather. If you haven't already seen my horoscopes for February, check them out. And if you haven't already seen my full moon video, check that out too. I appreciate your guys' support. We're going to continue to keep bringing you astrology and live readings on Friday nights. If you haven't already given me a thumbs up and like the channel, please do. Make sure you're subscribed. Share this with other people. And we're gonna go and cuddle and watch some TV in our matching hoodies. So you guys enjoy your weekend. We'll see you soon. Take care. Buddy. Hey, buddy. You famous?